Chapter 879. The silhouette's eyes were cold, and its threat was even stronger than the flying tigers. If this group of Xiantian realm martial artists were placed in the outside world, which one of them wasn't a proud son of the heavens? They were the top existences of their families. But it was precisely these kinds of people who had been threatened again and again today. It was inevitable that their hearts would be filled with anger. Even the expressions of the many leaders had turned gloomy. Not far away, a Xiantian warrior shouted, "Zichen, you're really arrogant. Who do you think you are? What are you? A legendary existence who can kill whoever you want." The silhouette Zichen glanced at him and said coldly, "Kill." Zichen didn't care if this person was brainless or ordered to be so bold. He only needed to kill him. A green light flashed, and a dragon roar resounded. The barbaric dragon, protecting the stone tablet, turned into a green light and rushed towards the Xiantian warrior. At this moment, there were at least a dozen experts of the same level standing beside the warrior. But the barbaric dragon wasn't afraid. "Preposterous! This is the ancient road, not your world. You can kill whoever you want. Zichen, who do you think you are? Are you the leader of everyone? Everyone attack with me. Let's kill this reckless and smelly flood dragon." Seeing the barbarian dragon charging over, killing intent appeared in the eyes of the Xiantian expert. At the same time, he shouted loudly. But it would have been better if he hadn't shouted. As soon as he shouted, the hesitating Xiantian warrior immediately retreated. In the blink of an eye, he was the only one left in a dozen square meters. The warrior cursed inwardly and could only brace himself and rush towards the barbaric dragon. The barbaric dragon's claws flashed with a cold light and fiercely clawed at the warrior's head. At the same time, a weapon appeared in the warrior's hand and attacked the barbaric dragon. The chi on the weapon had already surpassed a top grade Dan weapon. It was a human-level weapon that could only be made by a mortal origin expert. Pong! The attack of the Torvosaurus was blocked by the human-level soldier, but a huge force also shook the Xiantian warrior and forced him to retreat. But after the first attack, the Torvosaurus quickly swung its tail, and the sound of breaking air resounded, and the tail ruthlessly whipped the body of the Xiantian warrior. The Xiantian martial artist's expression changed. He had already guessed the Torvosaurus's attack, but unfortunately his body couldn't keep up with its reaction speed. Bang! Kacha! Another deafening sound rang out, and the Xiantian lord was sent flying. At the same time, the crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. Several of the Xiantian lord's bones had been broken. When the innate realm martial artist landed on the ground, the chi and blood in his body were in turmoil. He could not help but cough out a mouthful of blood. The barbarian dragon's 2 consecutive attacks contained a terrifying power. Among all the Xiantian martial artists, the barbarian dragon's battle prowess was definitely at the top. But even so, it was impossible for the barbarian dragon to easily kill a Xiantian martial artist. It was not that the barbarian dragon was not strong enough, but the Xiantian martial artists themselves were not weak. Xiantian martial artists were the pinnacle of the martial sky continent. Naturally, they wouldn't die so easily. Only someone like Zichen could rely on 2 completely opposite powers to kill a relatively weak Xiantian martial artist. Since Zichen said to kill, the barbarian dragon would naturally carry out his orders. Merely beating back and injuring him was not the goal. Hence, the barbarian dragon went forward again and attacked with its sharp claws. The Xiantian martial artist endured the intense pain and displayed his Xiantian techniques. A huge and resplendent light seal appeared in front of his opponent. It emitted a turbulent aura and rushed towards the barbarian dragon. Bang! The Xiantian light seal was instantly dispersed by the barbarian dragon. At the same time, the barbarian dragon rushed forward and struck the opponent's body. Another crisp sound of bones breaking rang out, and the Xiantian martial artist was sent flying while coughing out blood. The battle was obviously one-sided. Even if he used his Xiantian techniques, he was still not a match for the barbarian dragon. If the battle continued, he would definitely die. Stop! A loud shout rang out. 2 Xiantian martial artists flew out from the crowd, wanting to provide support. But in the next moment, Zi Chen's Longhu and Flying God Tiger also rushed forward. Bang! Bang! Following the 2 deafening sounds, 2 energy ripples spread out. The 2 of them were sent flying back the same way they came forward. Everyone's expression changed drastically. It was obvious that Zi Chen's 3 beasts were able to suppress a Xiantian martial artist. This battle strength was enough to make them wary. Many of the leaders' eyes began to flicker. The appearance of these uncontrollable existences among the Xiantian martial artists was extremely disadvantageous for their upcoming treasure hunt. At this moment, they even had the thought of exterminating this group of people. The glowing figure Zi Chen did not disappear. He was still watching everything coldly. The Xiantian martial artist fighting the barbarian dragon was about to be beaten to death, and the 2 Xiantian martial artists' reinforcements were still unable to arrive. "All right, stop. We'll just wait a little longer," Golden Flame said. As soon as Golden Flame finished speaking, the glowing figure Zi Chen snorted coldly and disappeared. The 3 beasts also turned around. Of the 3 Xiantian martial artists, 2 were injured and 1 was seriously injured. This time the battle between Zi Chen and all the Xiantian martial artists was obviously won by Zi Chen. In the sky above this world, 2 old men had been watching the scene. Seeing the 3 powerful beasts, they couldn't help but nod and sigh in admiration. One of them smiled and said, "It seems that not only did we get a trump card, but there are also many hidden cards beside it. We didn't give him 2 Xiantian martial arts in vain. It's really unexpected, but maybe this is the will of the heavens." The other man was also extremely proud. At this moment, in Zi Chen's world, 2 things appeared. One was a golden sun, and the other was a silver crescent moon. These 2 things were alternating. During the day it was the golden sun, and during the night it was the silver moon. These were the inheritances of the 4 ancient clans. However, in Zi Chen's eyes, the sun and moon represented yin and yang. Extreme yin, extreme yang. At this moment, Zi Chen was using the crescent moon to evolve extreme yin, and using the golden sun to evolve extreme yang. These 2 seals were constantly evolving in Zi Chen's sea of consciousness. Each seal emitted golden and silver light. As time passed, Zi Chen evolved extreme yang during the day and extreme yin at night. It was as if there was no one around. In the outside world, everyone was envious and jealous. The light around Zi Chen's body was getting brighter and brighter. It was obvious that he had reached a critical moment in his comprehension. Soon, half a month passed. Every corner of the 8th level was searched, and everyone was getting more and more helpless. Suddenly, a loud and clear Buddhist chant came from this world. Behind the monk, a bright and tall figure of light appeared. Everyone thought that this shadow was a Buddha shadow, so they didn't pay much attention to it. However, after taking a closer look, their faces changed. The shadow was indeed a Buddha shadow, but it was in the shape of a monk. It was solemn and dignified, and the Buddhist light shone brightly. It was like a Buddha. Everyone naturally knew what a monk looked like. Even if it was a real monk, it would definitely be the scum of the monks. However, it was such a scum that could evolve his own Buddha true body. The heavens are blind. This bald bastard is simply an evil monk. He can actually manifest the true body of a Buddha. Buddha is blind. How can such a bald thief have such achievements? The jealousy in everyone's heart grew stronger. The Buddha true body disappeared, and the monk's comprehension ended. Looking at his wide, open mouth, even a fool would know that he had gained a lot. Soon, another half a month passed. Su Mengyao, who was glowing, stood up. After more than a month of comprehension, she didn't change at all. She was still mysterious and unfathomable. However, no one believed that he had gained nothing after a month of comprehension. The group of Xiantian warriors naturally couldn't all stay here and wait. Some people went to find the passage to the 9th level. However, the 9th level was indeed found, but the restriction was stronger than the 8th level. When a Hotian realm martial artist struck out with a strike, the recoil force would be doubled. An attack that was twice as strong as their own strength could directly kill a Hotian realm martial artist. Although Xiantian warriors were slightly better off, the speed of breaking through the restriction was greatly reduced. According to the current speed, it would take several years to break through the restriction. During this period, some people imitated Ziqin and tried to break through the restriction with their control of Yuan Li. Unfortunately, they didn't have two types of extreme energy. They only had one type, and it could only extend for a few meters. When Yuan Li exploded, other people's attacks didn't arrive in time. Not only did they fail to break through the restriction, but they were also injured by the rebound force. They hadn't experienced the tree demon world that Ziqin had experienced, so they didn't have Ziqin's powerful control. They also didn't have good teamwork, so they couldn't break through the restriction. If they couldn't break through the restriction, they wouldn't be able to reach the 9th level and obtain the harvest inside. Everyone couldn't help but miss Ziqin. They wanted Ziqin to quickly comprehend and break through the restriction. Another month passed. The strong light around Ziqin's body finally disappeared. Ziqin opened his eyes. At this moment, his left eye was emitting a golden light, as if there was a golden sun, and in his right eye a silver light flickered, as if there was a crescent moon. His eyes contained the sun, moon, yin and yang. Wherever his eyes passed, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Ziqin's gaze swept through the crowd and found a Xiantian warrior. This person was looking at Ziqin with hatred. Suddenly, he saw Ziqin's gaze and his expression changed. He was the Xiantian warrior that had been injured by the barbarian dragon. Without saying anything, Ziqin formed a seal with his hand. A golden light flickered and a blazing aura circulated. As the seal fell, a golden sun appeared in front of Ziqin. It emitted a resplendent light and surged with blazing energy. This was the result of Ziqin's 2 months of comprehension. The seal was still an extreme yang seal, but its power had increased by many times. Ziqin's hand flashed, and the golden sun shot towards the Xiantian warrior. PFFF. The golden sun's speed was extremely fast, comparable to teleportation. The Xiantian warrior had just sensed something was wrong and didn't have time to react when the golden sun flashed past. The Xiantian warrior's body was split in two by the golden sun, and his spiritual sense was also extinguished in an instant. This Xiantian warrior was instantly killed. Ziqin withdrew the yin-yang light from his eyes and coldly said, "I've already said that whoever dares to disturb my comprehension will die." The surroundings were deathly silent. Everyone was frightened. Ziqin's method of annihilation was truly too powerful. As for Barbarian Dragon, Longhu, and the others, they were guarding outside, not allowing anyone to enter. The restrictions on the 9th layer were very difficult to break. There were all kinds of obstructions, and Xiantian experts were injured almost every day. In the martial heaven continent, the 9th layer was a kind of peak. It was very likely that this trip to the underground world would end at the 9th layer, and the things on the 9th layer were clearly even more precious. There might even be more precious treasures and techniques. In order to enter the 9th layer, all the Xiantian experts were working hard. Another half a month passed, but there were no signs of the restrictions being broken. If this continued, let alone half a month, even half a year might not be enough to break the restrictions. Continuing like this wasn't a solution. The leaders of the various powers gathered to discuss how to break the restrictions. If we can't break the restrictions, then we can only find Ziqin. "He should have a way," said one of the leaders. "Find Ziqin." The sword ninja bitterly smiled. "Ziqin might have a way, but he'll have to be willing to help. It's not like you didn't see what happened last time. After Ziqin finished comprehending the Xiantian techniques, He immediately killed that Xiantian expert who had provoked him. That was clearly a warning. Huisi nodded. Last time, we truly were lacking in consideration. But this time, we can take the initiative to offer a bit more reward. It can count as making it up to Ziqin. The leader of the tyrannical Dao clan also said that's right. Ziqin will definitely enter the 9th layer. If we give him the resources to break the restrictions, he should agree. After all, these resources are earned for free. He has no reason to refuse. We can try, but I don't think the chances are high. In the end, the group discussed, and the sword ninja led the 2 leaders to find Ziqin to discuss. For the powers that had been paying attention to Ziqin, it wasn't hard to find Ziqin's location. The sword ninja led the 2 people there, but they were stopped by Lei Ming from far away. Ziqin was cultivating, and the 2 clones were his trump cards. He didn't allow others to spy on them. Lei Ming, we're here to discuss something with brother Ziqin. Looking at Lei Ming, the sword ninja cupped his hands. I'm sorry, but you came at the wrong time. Ziqin is cultivating in seclusion, Lei Ming said from afar. Lei Ming, I have something to discuss with Ziqin, the sword ninja said again. Lei Ming smiled faintly and said, before Ziqin entered seclusion, he said that he wants to break through to the late primal core realm. No one is allowed to disturb him. Even if you have something important to discuss, you can only wait for Ziqin to come out. Break through to the late primal core realm? The sword ninja's expression changed immediately. The 2 people beside him were the same. Ziqin was already able to kill a Xiantian realm cultivator when he was at the mid-primal core realm. Once he entered the late primal core realm, his battle strength would be even greater. At that time, Ziqin would be an uncontrollable existence. The sword ninja didn't see Ziqin in the end. When the 3 returned, Huisi and the others asked, this is too much. When we went there, Ziqin actually didn't come out. He said that he was in seclusion to fool us. This time, we didn't even see his face. What's there to discuss? One of the leaders said angrily, what, you didn't even see his face? This Ziqin is actually so arrogant. He didn't even give face to a faction. Tu Luo glared. The sword ninja's expression became serious. He said, Lei Ming said that Ziqin is in seclusion to break through to the next realm. I don't know if it's true or not. If it's false, then Ziqin is indeed arrogant. But if it's true, then it's troublesome. The other leaders' expressions became more serious when they heard this. Golden Flame's expression became gloomy. Whether it's true or not, it's bad news for us. Huisi said, this Ziqin's battle strength is already so terrifying at the mid-primal core realm. Once he breaks through to the late primal core realm, he'll be able to sweep through everything. If we really wait until he breaks through to the 9th layer, then we won't have the advantage anymore. Everyone's expression became extremely ugly. Clearly, Ziqin's existence was a threat to them. Everyone fell silent. That silence lasted for a long time. Huisi from the Hu clan had a very bad temper. As his expression changed, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He said coldly, Ziqin is indeed a threat. However, if he knows what's good for him, I can let him leave with his harvest. If not, even if he breaks through to the late stage of the core realm, he will have to stay here forever. When the others heard this, their expressions immediately changed. Golden Flame looked at Fire and said, You mean? Huisi nodded heavily. A vicious light flashed in his eyes. Correct. To be able to suppress a Xiantian expert, Ziqin is indeed very strong, but he's not the strongest. Everyone fell silent once more. The reason the 5 Elements families were able to control the Martial Heaven Alliance and become a peak power wasn't because they had many Xiantian experts, nor was it because they had many inheritances. It was because they had other experts. The 5 of them were the leaders of this trip to the ancient path, but they weren't the leaders of their entire families. These 5 families had true experts overseeing them. It was just that they disdained to come out for something like this. In the end, Golden Flame said, "Inviting him out is the final step. Unless it's absolutely necessary, there's no need to do this. But that's for later. Let's first find Zichen to discuss the reward for breaking the seal. You can give him any reward as long as it's within our range. If he takes the initiative to ask for it and it's not within our range, we can agree. We'll give him a portion first and the rest later." Everyone could hear the iciness in Golden Flame's words. The sword ninja said, "But Zichen is in seclusion. How are we supposed to see him?" Golden Flame said, "There's no need to see Zichen. That monk is also fine. He's even greedier than Zichen, but he's also easier to talk to." The next day, the sword ninja once more brought people over. They were once more stopped by Lei Ming, but this time, the sword ninja wanted to see the monk. The monk quickly appeared. "What do you need me for? We want to invite you to break the seal. As for the reward, you can name it," said the sword ninja directly. "Oh, name it." The monk's eyes brightened. "Of course." The sword ninja nodded. "If I want each of you to give me a Xiantian technique, you'll be willing." The sword ninja was stunned, thinking that the monk was indeed greedy. He smiled faintly. "It's within what we can afford." The monk laughed. "Good, I'll cut to the chase. 1,000 drops of liquefied origin essence per person. Remember, it has to be high grade." "Deal." The sword ninja immediately agreed, then asked, "When do you want to break the seal?" "In 2 months," said the monk. "But if you can break the seal on your own within 2 months, we'll forget about the reward." The sword ninja nodded, then returned to inform them of the negotiation. Naturally, they couldn't break the seal in 2 months. When the time was almost up, the sword ninja sent the monk more than 10,000 drops of high-grade, liquefied origin essence. 2 months had passed, and Zichen's group appeared outside the seal. Just like last time, Zichen used the same method to break the seal. But this time, even Zichen encountered resistance. After 5 or 6 attempts, Zichen finally broke the seal. With a surge of energy, the seal was broken, but Zichen didn't immediately lead people forward. Instead, he stood there in a daze. After the restriction was broken, several hundred rays of light swept past leader Zichen and entered the world of the 9th level. Chapter 881. Looking at the world in front of him, Zichen was completely dumbfounded. The Xiantian realm cultivators who had just rushed in also stopped in the air after rushing out for hundreds of meters, staring blankly ahead. Behind them, more Xiantian realm cultivators rushed into the world in the 9th layer like arrows. But when they arrived, they were all stunned by the scene in front of them. In front of him, there were thousands of golden light spots floating in the air, each of them representing a type of innate skill. There were at least 10,000 of them, and there were all kinds of innate skill inheritances on the ground. There were stone walls, mountain peaks, stone towers, and so on. How can this be? Looking ahead, everyone was stunned on the spot. The leaders of the several forces even widened their eyes and looked around with astonishment. The others were the same. They released all their spiritual senses to sense everything around them. But the world in front of them was different from the world in their imagination. The real world in front of them was empty. It was completely empty, not to mention inheritances. Even the light spots of Xiantian techniques couldn't be seen. Mountain peaks, stone pagodas, stone walls, they were all illusions. The entire world was empty, and there wasn't even a fly, mosquito, or flower. It was empty and desolate. How can it be empty? Where's the stuff? The first to be unable to bear were the leaders of the several forces. They had each paid 1,000 drops of high-grade yuan liquid for this. For them, although the yuan liquid was within their acceptable range, they absolutely couldn't bear the fact that it was a waste. Moreover, it was 1,000 drops of high-grade yuan liquid. No one really didn't put it in their eyes. Where's the stuff? They couldn't accept this fact and turned to look at Zichen. What are you looking at me for? Don't tell me I secretly took it away? Zichen said coldly. Zichen didn't have any other thoughts about the world in the 9th layer. First, the seal here was indeed difficult to break. Second, because everyone was too focused on the 9th layer, they were staring at Zichen and spreading their spiritual senses around him. Zichen had no chance. Naturally, the stuff couldn't have been taken by Zichen. Everyone could bear witness to this. Such a situation could only mean that there was nothing here. But why was the world in the 9th layer empty? No one could figure it out. Damn it. The leaders of the various forces were flustered and exasperated. 9 was the limit. Since this place was empty, it meant that they had reached the end of their trip to the underground world. It was time for them to return. However, their gains this time weren't as great as they had expected. Empty? That shouldn't be the case. Could it be an illusion? As long as we break the illusion, the thing will come out. Tyrant walked into the 9th level with a look of unwillingness on his face. That was because Tyrant wasn't satisfied with his harvest either. Zichen and the others also entered, frowning as they surveyed their surroundings. Only Su Mingyao's bright and gentle eyes flashed, as if she was deducing something. Hearing Monk's words, everyone felt that it made sense. Thus, the group of Xiantian realm martial artists began to bombard the surroundings. All kinds of energy techniques appeared, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. However, reality proved that this place was indeed empty. There was no such thing as an illusion, and all of the attacks naturally dissipated. "Young master, there's something up ahead." Suddenly, a voice came from afar. "Another tall stone door has been discovered ahead. It seems to be a passageway." Soon after, all sorts of voices could be heard. Surprise appeared on the faces of the several leaders. In a flash, they flew into the distance. After flying for dozens of miles, they saw the only thing in the world of the 9th level. It was a tall stone door, at least several hundred meters high. Moreover, it was only an empty stone door, and there was no building behind it. The door frame of the stone door was engraved with many fine runes. These runes were simple and unadorned. The runes spread along the door frame to the top of the stone door, forming a perfect restriction. The stone door itself was a kind of restriction, but the strange thing was, where did this stone door lead to? During this time, they had already circled to the back of the stone door, but there wasn't any restriction behind it. It was just like an ordinary stone door. "Look over there." A cry of surprise successfully attracted everyone's attention. As they raised their heads, they saw that there were grooves on top of the stone door. These grooves were as big as a fist and seemed to be used to place something. There were a total of 6 grooves. The moment they saw the grooves, the 5 leaders' eyes lit up. Then all 5 of them, including the sword ninja, looked at Zichen at the same time. Zichen's indifferent eyes fell on the 6 of them. He was in a state of alert in case they suddenly launched a sneak attack. Golden Flame smiled again. "Brother Zichen, it seems like we have to work together again." Huasi also smiled. "That's right, I didn't expect it to be like this." The other people's expressions also relaxed, and more or less, there were smiles on their faces. Zichen snorted coldly. "Didn't you say that I took the item?" "Brother Zichen, you misunderstood us. I was just asking why there was no item." Perhaps my tone was a bit rushed, which caused Brother Zichen to misunderstand. "But now, I'm sure that the item is behind this stone door." Tu Luo smiled. "Behind the stone door? Are you sure?" Zichen looked at Tu Luo. Tu Luo pointed at the stone door and said, "This stone door looks empty, but there's actually a world behind it. Once this stone door is opened, it will lead to another world. So, I'm sure that the good stuff is behind this stone door." Tu Luo smiled and said, "So, we need to work together to open this stone door." Above the world, the 2 old men nodded in satisfaction. One of them said, "That's right, quickly open this door." Your mission is already half complete. The other half will be completed by Zichen. But from the looks of it, the chances of success are still quite high. Zichen didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Tu Luo and frowned. Golden Flame said, Brother Zichen, let's just let the previous unhappiness go with the wind. Now we should work together to open this door and go inside to seize the treasure. Seize the treasure? How do we do it? Zichen asked. Of course. We'll rely on our strength and luck. Golden Flame gave an ambiguous answer. Zichen couldn't be bothered to bicker with them. In any case, it was based on strength. As for luck, it was **T. Having luck without strength was equivalent to having no luck. Looking at this huge door, everyone's expression was extremely excited. Even Zichen was extremely tempted. It was obvious that there was definitely something good behind the stone door. At this moment, among the hundreds of innate stage martial artists, only Su Mengyao could look at everything calmly. Ever since they entered the world of the 9th level, the light in Su Mengyao's eyes never stopped. It was as if she was constantly deducing something. On her calm face, there was a hint of worry. Zichen didn't hesitate. He nodded and said, All right, let's work together to break the prohibition. As they spoke, Zichen took out the jade slip and walked towards the 5 of them. The 6 of them were ready to break the prohibition of the stone door. At this moment, the light in Su Mengyao's eyes disappeared. Her face turned pale immediately. There was blood at the corner of her mouth. She shouted, Wait! As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned and turned their heads one after another. Mengyao, what happened to you? Looking at Su Mengyao's face and the blood at the corner of her mouth, Zichen's expression changed. He flashed in front of her. Wang Xian and Lin Shui had already supported Su Mengyao. Zichen wiped away the blood at the corner of Su Mengyao's mouth. She said weakly, The stone door can't be opened. What? Zichen looked at Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao didn't suppress her voice. Everyone heard it. They looked at Su Mengyao with hostility. Obviously, many of them thought that she didn't have good intentions. The few leaders were also skeptical. They stared at Su Mengyao. They weren't sure if this beautiful woman was pretending to be weak or if she really suffered from some kind of backlash. This stone door can't be opened. It's dangerous, Su Mengyao said again. Why? What's dangerous? Before Zichen could ask, an innate stage martial artist beside him asked. Su Mengyao shook her head and said, I don't know. I can't deduce it. You don't know the danger and still won't open the stone door. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? The innate stage martial artist mocked. Zichen stared at him fiercely. The latter immediately shut up. Zichen looked at Su Mengyao again. Su Mengyao said, Although I can't deduce everything, I can deduce a rough idea. This place is probably targeting you. Targeting me? Zichen was stunned. He didn't know anyone here. Who would target him? Moreover, it was such a big move. Su Mengyao shook her head again and said, I can't deduce everything, but I'm sure it's targeting you. This place is not good for you. Zichen, you don't trust me. Zichen looked into Su Mengyao's eyes and nodded seriously. I trust you. Of course I trust you. What do you want me to do? Let's go. Let's go now, Su Mengyao said firmly. Okay. Zichen nodded. Without another word, he pulled Su Mengyao and was about to leave. However, while Zichen was willing to leave, the others were obviously unwilling. Rays of light flashed as they blocked Zichen's path. Zichen, what should we do if you leave just like that? Brother Zichen, what you're doing is too disrespectful. Could it be that you want to leave all of us here to dry? Golden Flame and the others spoke, their voices full of dissatisfaction. Su Mengyao said, Zichen, don't take the jade piece. Give it to them. As soon as she said that, everyone's expression changed. Obviously, it wasn't that they didn't want to open the stone door, but that there was real danger. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given the jade piece away. Chen didn't hesitate. He took out the jade piece and threw it to the sword ninja. The sword ninja caught it subconsciously and held it tightly in his hand. Let's go. Chen didn't look at the jade piece anymore. He left with the others. Longhu, Tyrant, and the others all left with Chen. Lei Ming also followed without hesitation. Xia Xian was stunned for a moment, but he also left. Yan Lao-san and Wu Yu didn't leave. Their thoughts were the same as the others. Above the world, the expressions of the two old men who had been calm and composed immediately changed when they saw the scene. Oh no, someone knows innate divination. I underestimated this girl. Chapter 882. On the 9th layer, Chen's group was determined to leave. The two old men on the top of the world were anxious. They're really leaving. What should we do? If Chen leaves, this plan will be wasted. Think of a way to get them back. Think of a way. How should I know? Just as the two old men were at a loss for words, the crowd below was also completely stunned. Chen really did lead a group of people away, and that could be called a complete departure. Chen's departure left the crowd skeptical, but they were more happy than worried. After all, Chen's battle prowess was too strong. With him here, no one felt happy. Now that Chen had left and left the jade piece behind, everything was fine. Of course, the happiest one was the sword ninja. He originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort to get the jade piece, or at least bleed a lot. But who would have thought that Chen would happily throw it away? This was really beyond his expectations. At this moment, the sword ninja didn't know that the greedy monk was nagging at Chen about this matter. Chen, you gave the jade piece to, casually. Even if we don't need it, we can still sell it to them. We don't expect a Xiantian level technique, but it's definitely not a problem to exchange it for 10,000 drops of high-grade essence liquid. Chen also felt that it was reasonable. He was annoyed and lamented, but just now he was so focused on proving his trust in Meng Yao that he forgot about this. However, Chen naturally wouldn't show his annoyance. He righteously said, "Monk, you're wrong. Meng Yao asked me to give it away, so I naturally wouldn't hesitate." Compared to Meng Yao's words, what is a mere 10,000 drops of essence liquid? Chen's righteous words moved Su Meng Yao, and so did the other two girls. Obviously, since Chen could treat Su Meng Yao like this, he definitely wouldn't treat the other two badly. Compared to the touched trio, Tyrant's mouth was almost crooked when he heard Chen's words. He knew better than the trio what kind of person Chen was. Although his words were righteous, his intestines were probably green with regret. However, this was someone who understood Chen, just like how Xia Xian and Lei Ming didn't understand Chen that well. At this moment, the two of them were filled with admiration for Chen. In order to win the beauty smile, Chen had actually given up 10,000 drops of essence liquid. His generosity was truly great. The two old men were helpless. They were so angry that they beat their chests and stamped their feet. One of them even shouted, "Idiot, hurry up and use the jade to open the stone door. Hurry up, you bunch of greedy little idiots. Hurry up and place the jade pieces into the grooves. Otherwise, this old man will not let you off," another old man said loudly. Down below, Golden Flame and the others were already impatient, but since Chen was still on the 9th floor, they decided to wait a little longer. Although the two old men were anxious, they were also suffering. Every day felt like a year. Sensing that Chen was already dozens of miles away and was about to step out of the 9th floor, the 6 of them looked at each other and instantly soared into the air, preparing to place the jade pieces into the grooves to open the stone door. However, just as they leaped into the air and before they could place the jade pieces into the grooves, a powerful suction force came from the grooves. This suction force directly sucked in the 6 jade pieces. Then, the jade pieces began to emit light. As if a perfect restriction had been activated, the entire stone door lit up. In the next moment, an aura surged out from the stone door and spread out in all directions. This aura was abnormally explosive, directly hitting the 6 old men. In the next moment, the 6 of them vomited blood and were sent flying. Just as the 6 of them were sent flying, the jade pieces in the grooves lit up again. After this ray of light, 6 more rays of light shot out from the grooves. When these 6 rays of light shot out, they transformed into a huge energy palm and flew into the distance. As the energy palm broke through the air, everyone exclaimed and used their spiritual senses to sense it. Using their spiritual senses, they found that the energy palm was actually heading straight for the exit of the 9th floor, where Zichen and the others were. Before everyone's spiritual senses could reach the exit, the energy palm had already arrived in front of Zichen and the others. Then there were shouts and cries of alarm as a crazy energy began to surge. Among the group, Zichen reacted the fastest. His body emitted a bright golden light as 2 types of extreme energy began to surge. He then clenched his fist and punched out, instantly throwing out a powerful punch. This was the fastest and most powerful punch Zichen could throw at the moment because the energy palm was heading straight for Su Mengyao. He was worried about her safety, so he didn't dare to hold back. Bang! With a loud bang, the energy exploded. The huge palm was shattered by Zichen's punch. After the palm dispersed, it turned into 6 rays of light and flew past Zichen like flowing water. When it arrived behind Zichen, it turned into a palm again and grabbed Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao was surrounded by a mysterious energy shield, so the palm didn't shatter. Moreover, the palm didn't seem to have the intention of shattering. After grabbing her, it began to return. "Stop!" The monk shouted and instantly attacked. Pure Buddhist power surged. Heavenly Thunder Seal. Metal slashing power. Thunder and Xia Xian also launched powerful attacks in the next moment. The Thunder Seal in the air and the metal slashing in the front hit the energy palm hard. Lin Shui emitted a bright green light, while Wang Xian struck out a sword radiance with sword will. 2 rays of light also attacked the palm. At the same time, the 3 beasts also attacked. Boom! The energy palm was hit by several energy attacks, and various explosions were heard. However, the energy palm didn't dissipate this time. Instead, it trembled and its light dimmed. However, it still brought Su Mengyao away at an extremely fast speed. The heavenly thunder wings appeared on Zichen's back. He turned into a ray of silver light and rushed towards the palm. At the same time, the dragon soul spear appeared in Zichen's hand. Along with the dragon's roar, streaks of innate spear radiance were shot towards the palm. The energy palm was escaping at an extremely fast speed. Zichen was also chasing after it. The difference in speed between the two was actually not that big. If they had to compare speed, Zichen was obviously faster. Before the crowd could sense everything with their spiritual senses, the giant palm had already returned. Behind the giant palm, Zichen also waved his spear and struck out dozens of times. However, the defense of the giant palm was too strong. It didn't shatter, but its light dimmed. Finally, just as it was about to shatter, the giant palm arrived in front of the stone door. In the next moment, the light on the giant palm dissipated and Su Mingyao's figure crashed into the stone door. The solid stone door rippled like water. Then, Su Mingyao's figure disappeared and entered the stone door. Zichen couldn't stop his momentum and crashed into the door as well. However, he didn't receive the same treatment as Su Mengyao. After Zichen crashed into the stone door, the light of the water ripples disappeared and the stone door turned solid. It was extremely sturdy. Boom! Zichen crashed into the stone door and made a loud noise. Then, a strong force shook Zichen and sent him flying. Zichen landed on the ground. The blood in his body was boiling, but his eyes were fixed on the stone door. Because of the madness, Zichen's eyes turned red. His red eyes moved away from the stone door and landed on the 6 people. He asked in a voice full of killing intent, What's going on? The six of them had yet to recover from the series of unforeseen events and were startled by Zi Chen's crazed crimson eyes. How would I know what's going on? We should ask you. The six people hurriedly spoke. Bullshit. Zi Chen pointed the dragon soul spear at the six people and shouted, What's going on? How did this energy palm appear? Why did it take Meng Yao away? How would we know? As soon as we put the jade pieces in, we were bounced back by a wave of energy. We were all injured. The words of the six people were filled with anger. Tyrant and the others came back again. They signaled Zi Chen to calm down and looked at the stone door at the same time. The 6 jade pieces were placed on the stone door. The stone door began to glow, but there was no sign of it opening. Hurry up and open the stone door. Under Zi Chen's cold gaze, a few Xiantian realm warriors walked towards the stone door. They used all their strength to push the stone door, but there was no reaction. A moment later, a wave of energy surged out from the door, and this wave of energy directly pushed back the few Xiantian realm warriors. Damn it, there's still a repulsive force. Seeing this scene, Tyrant cursed and then said, Manlong, Longhu, Little Tiger, you guys go. If it was any other time, the Flying Tiger would definitely protest and say that he was Lord Tiger. However, Zi Chen was in a frenzied state, so the Flying Tiger didn't dare to joke around and directly went forward. The 3 strange beasts arrived in front of the stone door and then used their powerful strength to bombard the stone door. A loud bang came from the stone door, and then the stone door glowed. An even stronger repulsive force came out and directly pushed the 3 strange beasts back. Everyone go up. Tyrant commanded again. Helpless, the group of Xiantian realm warriors went forward one after another, but it was the same. No matter how many people went forward, they would all be pushed back. In the end, the entire stone door was filled with Xiantian realm warriors. Under everyone's strength, they were all pushed back. Almost ruined it. These little fellows are really scary. Above the world, 2 old men were wiping the cold sweat off their foreheads. Looking at the people below, who were sent flying in a sorry state, one of them laughed. It's quite scary, but we have to scare him too. I'm already so old, and I was almost scared half to death just now. Let's push it. Let's push it for an hour first. I'm afraid an hour won't do. It won't be good if Zi Chen loses his patience and turns around to leave. Lose his patience? Look at him now. Will he lose his patience? That's hard to say. Well, if Zi Chen pushes the door, then we'll open the door. Above, the 2 old men reached an agreement. Below, waves of Xiantian realm warriors were pushed back, and they were in an extremely sorry state. I'll do it. Finally, seeing that everyone had returned empty-handed, Zi Chen tried his best to calm himself down and stepped forward with his spear. In order to feel the repulsive force of the stone door, Zi Chen held the spear in his left hand and pushed the door with his right hand. As soon as he pushed, the entire door began to glow, and then there was a creaking sound. The door showed signs of opening. As Zi Chen pushed harder, the creaking sound on the door became louder. Then the entire stone door was pushed open by Zi Chen with one hand. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Chapter 883. The door was pushed open by Zi Chen effortlessly. If it weren't for Longhu, Wang Xian, and the others, Zi Chen would have assumed that they were acting in front of him. As the door was opened, a pitch-black tunnel appeared before them, leading to another world. Zi Chen entered it without hesitation. Behind Zi Chen, Tyrant, and the rest followed at their fastest speed. Let's go in. Quick, there must be something good in here. The others did not hesitate either. Their eyes flickered passionately as they entered the tunnel. In just over 10 breaths' time, everyone had entered the tunnel. There was no sign of the cultivators in the 9-layer world. After everyone entered the tunnel, the door was shut once again, isolating the 2 worlds once again. Behind the tunnel was a pitch-black world, filled with rolling black qi. Ziqin was the first to appear. As soon as he arrived, he saw the only ray of light in the world. Mengyao. Seeing the figure in the light, Ziqin called out. He was surprised to see Su Mengyao as soon as he entered the tunnel, but his face was soon filled with excitement. I knew you'd be back. This is a trap specifically targeted at you. You shouldn't have come, Su Mengyao said in a gentle tone. Ziqin shook his head and said, It's fine as long as you're safe. In the midst of their conversation, Tyrant and the rest appeared too. They were surprised to see Su Mengyao. Soon, the group gathered in the pitch-black world. Glancing at the black qi above their heads, Ziqin's eyes became gloomy. So did Tyrant, as they were extremely familiar with the black qi. Tyrant turned his head toward Ziqin and said, Demonic qi. It's the demonic qi of the foreign tribes. Ziqin nodded his head. Previously at the ancient battlefield, when the demonic ape had obtained the succession, Ziqin had seen this demonic qi. It was extremely useful to the demonic ape, but the demonic qi there was not as strong as here. Besides, Ziqin and Tyrant had also seen this demonic qi at the sacred burial ground, where Ziqin had met the demonic ape. Could it be that this is a battlefield between humans and the foreign tribes? Tyrant frowned. Ziqin shook his head, indicating that he did not know. After the others entered, they also discovered the abnormality of this place. However, they did not stop. Instead, they continued forward in a straight line. That was because they subconsciously felt that there were treasures in this place. Moreover, there were precious treasures. Streaks of light whizzed into the distance as they went off in search of treasures and opportunities. Everyone came quickly and left quickly. Soon, only Ziqin and his group were left. Since we're already here, we have to take a look whether it's a trap or not. There's no exit here, so the only way to leave is to keep going forward, Ziqin said after a while, and everyone nodded in agreement. The group moved forward, but they didn't find anything. There were no inheritances, no treasures, and no resources. This was a world of darkness, and there were no traces of battle. It didn't look like an ancient battlefield, but like a real world of darkness. This place was very empty, and there was almost no scenery of any sort. There were no mountains or trees, and only the demonic qi above them gave off an oppressive aura, indicating that this place was not ordinary. After walking for more than 10 miles, they heard the sound of fighting in the distance. The monk's eyes lit up, and he said, Listen, there are sounds of fighting. What can the sound of fighting mean? Lei Ming was puzzled. Stupid. The monk said loudly, The sound of fighting means that there's a conflict, and there's only one reason for conflict here, and that's for inheritance or resources. Now that there are sounds of fighting, it means that this is a treasure land, and there's a great treasure in front of us. Let's go quickly. Lei Ming felt that the monk's explanation was very reasonable, so the two of them sped up. As for Ziqin and his group, they were still walking at a leisurely pace. As they went deeper, the sense of danger in Ziqin's heart became more intense, as if there was something here that could threaten him. This sense of danger made Ziqin extremely irritated. Su Mengyao stopped her deduction, because this place was indeed targeting Ziqin. The group moved forward for another 10 miles, and when they arrived at the place of the battle, they saw the monk and Lei Ming. The two of them didn't join the battle, but looked ahead in shock. In front of them, more than 10 Xiantian realm warriors and dozens of Hotian realm warriors were working together to fight a huge monster. This monster was over 100 meters tall, and it was emitting demonic qi. There were 2 horns on its head, and its 2 lantern-like eyes were emitting blood-red light. When Ziqin saw this huge monster, he immediately exclaimed, Alien race! Ziqin had seen this kind of alien race in the holy burial ground. At that time, Ziqin didn't fight with it, but he was sure that it had the power to kill him. In the end, it was the devil ape who used the delusion breaker eye to kill it. The combat strength of this alien race was definitely in the human origin realm. It was holding back a group of human trial takers by itself. It could be seen that these human trial takers wanted to escape, but every time they retreated, a demonic chi rope would entangle them and drag them back. The battle was actually initiated by this foreign race, and there was nothing else beside this foreign race. There were no inheritances or resources. It's actually an alien race. There's actually a living alien race here. After knowing the identity of the Devil's Shadow, everyone was shocked. Zichen was now completely sure that the danger he sensed came from this alien race. He walked in front of Tyrant and Lei Ming, took out Yuan liquid from his spirit ring, and began to distribute it. The high-grade origin liquid emitted a dense light and appeared in front of Tyrant. Tyrant's eyes lit up. He didn't ask anything and directly accepted it. After accepting the high-grade origin liquid, Tyrant once again looked at Zichen with eager eyes. Zichen ignored Tyrant and took out Yuan liquid again, giving it to Lei Ming. There were more than 1,000 of them. Seeing Zichen take out so much, Lei Ming was clearly startled. He asked, "Zichen, what are you doing?" "I feel that this place is full of danger. Take this Yuan liquid and use it," Zichen said. Lei Ming hurriedly waved his hand, refusing. "I have resources on me. This thing is too precious." Zichen said, "Take it. If there's danger, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you. Having more resources is not a bad thing. Don't be afraid of using them up. Take as much as you can." Lei Ming didn't refuse again and accepted the high-grade Yuan liquid. Zichen then looked at Xia Xen, took out 1,000 drops of Yuan liquid, and said, "Take it. If you can walk out of here alive, I'll provide you with all the fruits of strength you need to break through." Zichen was willing to do this because he trusted the two and treated them as his own people. Xia Xen didn't continue to refuse and directly accepted it, heavily nodding his head. As for the next round of Yuan liquid distribution, it went very smoothly. Whether it was Lin Shui, Wang Xian-er, or Su Mingyao, they didn't stand on ceremony with Zichen. They took as much as Zichen gave them. However, the three of them also had the reservedness that women should have. They weren't as shameless as Tyrant, following Zichen from the beginning to the end of the distribution. However, in front of Tyrant, Zichen's face wasn't thin, and he didn't give Tyrant any more resources. After the resources were distributed, there were even 3 mutated beasts. After the distribution, everyone prepared to move forward. The battle ahead was still ongoing. There were already casualties among the Hotian realm warriors, and Xiantian realm warriors were also injured. The alien race's battle strength was very strong, not to mention they were mortal origin realm aliens. Puff! A Xiantian realm warrior was injured and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. He was shocked by the alien race's battle strength. He prepared to use a secret technique to escape. If he didn't, he might become the 4th Xiantian realm warrior to be killed today. But before he could use his secret technique, an endless black light pressed down from above his head. Then, a black blade formed from energy fell from the sky. The sharp blade fell on his head. Fear appeared in the eyes of the Xiantian realm warrior. He wanted to dodge at full speed, but in the next moment he felt his body lose control for a moment. In this kind of life and death crisis, suddenly losing control of one's body was obviously fatal. The black blade immediately chopped down without any pause. When the Xiantian realm warrior regained control of his body, the black blade had already chopped down on his head. Blood spurted out, and a Xiantian realm warrior was split in the air. Before his soul could rush out, it was crushed by the energy emerging from the black blade. The 4th Xiantian realm warrior died. In the distance, Zichen and the others witnessed all of this with their own eyes. Their expressions became extremely solemn. They were originally planning to move forward, but they changed their minds and rushed towards the alien race instead. If all the alien races behind them were like this, it would be better to understand them before going in deeper. Heavenly Thunder Seal. Before he got close, Lei Ming's hands began to form a seal. Silver light flashed in the sky, and an illusory thunder seal fell from the sky. This was the heavenly thunder seal, a Xiantian technique that Lei Ming had comprehended on his own after he transformed into a Xiantian realm expert. The thunder seal fell, and flashes of lightning flashed, smashing onto the alien race with a loud bang. Lightning had an obvious restraining effect on demonic qi. As the thunder seal exploded, a piece of demonic qi on the alien race's body was dispersed. The alien race let out a strange cry, and his red eyes fell on Lei Ming, surging with a cold light. At this moment, Tyrant made his move. He shook his hand and shot out a golden light. The golden light turned into a demon, subduing Pestle in midair. Under the control of Tyrant's spiritual thoughts, the demon, subduing Pestle, instantly became as big as a mountain and smashed towards the alien race. Bang! A loud sound was heard, and the alien race was smashed back a few meters, causing the earth to rumble. As the alien race was pushed back, the rest took the opportunity to retreat far away. When they reached a safe distance, they did not even look back. However, there were some bold and curious fellows who wanted to watch the battle from afar. Amidst the roars of dragons and tigers, the three alien beasts also rushed up and displayed their powerful attacks. During this period, they were supported by Lin Shui's green light and Wang Xian, Er's sharp sword radiance. All kinds of attacks landed on the alien beasts, and sounds of energy explosions were heard continuously. Under the powerful Xiantian martial artists, the alien race was instantly suppressed and was forced to retreat. Among the group, there were long-range attacks and close-range attacks. The alien race was completely helpless. Zichen did not make a move. He was in charge of observing the alien race's every move. From afar, the crowd was shocked to see how powerful Zichen's group was. Boom! Under the continuous attacks, the demonic qi on the alien race's body was completely dispersed, revealing his true appearance. If not for the two horns on his head, this alien race would definitely look like a human, just that he was a little too tall. Chapter 884. Facing the powerful attacks of the group, the alien was finally defeated and killed. His fatal wound was at the space between his eyebrows, pierced by Wang Xian Er's sword light. The tall and big body of the foreign race fell down, causing a loud explosion. The ground trembled because of it. The foreign race died, and before everyone could carefully observe, the barbarian dragon went up after the foreign race died. It forcefully broke open the foreign race's body and took out a black crystal. This black crystal was as big as a human head, surrounded by a black light. It looked like the energy crystal of the alien, just like the human Yuan Dan, exuding a pure aura. The barbaric dragon passed the black crystal to Zichen. Zichen tried to absorb it and found that he could. In the human world, this was a human Yuan Dan, and its value was immeasurable. Moreover, in the human world, there was a saying that by absorbing a human Yuan Dan, one could break through to the human Yuan Dan. Zichen kept his Yuan Dan and looked at the dead foreign race member. Other than being taller than humans, having different energy levels, and having horns on their heads, there was nothing else special about them. However, the black qi surrounding the foreign race member was like a naturally formed armor. If one did not destroy it, it would be very difficult to kill it. With a preliminary understanding of the alien race, the group continued forward. Along the way, they would occasionally meet one or two alien races. Once they found an alien, they would rush up and kill them, collecting the black crystal. However, Zichen was not satisfied with the speed of killing the alien race, because almost everyone present was an outstanding Xiantian expert, and their strength was at the late stage of the inner core realm. With the group working together and using their Xiantian skills, they could even kill a human Yuan Dan expert easily. However, killing an alien race would take a long time. After killing 2 alien races, the group didn't find any other alien races, nor did they see any other challengers. They could only feel the energy waves from time to time. The group began to speed up, heading deeper. This time, they were about 1,000 miles away. During the journey, Zichun found many corpses of challengers, and there was no lack of Xiantian experts. In the first 9 floors, Xiantian realm cultivators rarely died. But here, when facing the foreign races, even Xiantian realm cultivators were beginning to suffer casualties. Along the way, they also saw the corpses of foreign races. It was obvious that there were quite a few Xiantian realm cultivators who had the strength to kill the foreign races. After 1,000 kilometers, Zichun arrived at the center of the Dark World. There were even more outsiders here, dozens of them, and they were fighting fiercely with many humans. However, in this battle, the humans took the initiative to attack. During the battle, they continued to charge forward. Up ahead, there was a stone platform. The stone platform was over 1,000 square meters in size and emitted a black light. There were many runes carved on the stone platform. These runes were extremely complex and emitted a black light. When one looked at them, they would be dazzled. The fierce battle between the foreign races and the human trial challengers took place outside the stone platform, and in the center of the stone platform there was a towering stone pagoda. This stone pagoda was pure black and had a total of 9 levels. It was 1,000 meters tall, and the stone platform had dazzling patterns that extended all the way to the top of the stone pagoda. Because of these patterns, the stone platform was connected to the stone pagoda. At this moment, what everyone was attacking wasn't the stone pagoda, but something floating at the top of the stone pagoda. This was a black stone that looked like the size of a fist from afar. But in truth, it was as big as a millstone. The surface of the stone emitted a pure black light. As this black light left the stone, it turned into a black gas that spread into the distance, fusing into the black gas. Above the Dark World, there was so much oppressive black gas. It was clearly emitted by this black stone. And this black stone looked like a piece of obsidian. The black stone floated in the air. There were layers upon layers of spells on its surface, and it shined with a black light. It looked extremely extraordinary. The reason the humans were constantly attacking was because of this black stone. As for the foreign races, because of this black stone, they were desperately defending. The battle between the two sides became increasingly fierce, and the human trial challengers suffered massive casualties. This black stone that emitted a black light was the only thing in this world. Even if no one understood its function, they still didn't want to let it go. This is definitely something good. Let's go and take it. Seeing that extremely extraordinary black stone, Tyrant immediately spoke without hesitation. This was the only thing in this world, and its importance didn't need to be deliberately explained. Let's go. Zichen's eyes flashed. He held the dragon's soul spear in his hand and rushed forward. Tyrant and the others also rushed forward. One of the foreign races discovered this group of uninvited guests. Black light surged around him. After repelling a group of human trial challengers, he rushed toward Zichen. Black light flashed, and a pitch-black sharp blade appeared in the sky. It surged with an extremely terrifying aura and slashed toward Zichen, who was in the lead. A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. He swept his spear, and a dragon roar sounded. Bright silver light surged from the dragon's spear and rushed out. Then it turned into a silver dragon and collided with the black blade in the air. Boom! The two collided and violent energy surged. The silver dragon shattered, and the black blade dissipated in the air. The destructive aura produced by the collision of the two energies began to distort the space. Zichen turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed toward the foreign race in front of him. Zichen soared into the sky. Golden light flashed around his body. It was as dazzling as the sun. He struck a powerful innate attack. The foreign race clenched his fist. His fist, which was surrounded by black light, tore open the space and attacked Zichen fiercely. Bang! Both sides collided again, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. Zichen flew back dozens of meters in the air. The foreign race also took a few steps back because of this attack. His body became unstable. The foreign race's red eyes were filled with surprise. Obviously, this was the first time he was beaten back by a human in a direct confrontation. Zichen flew back. As soon as he stabilized his body, he began to form seals. Golden light danced between his fingers like golden fairies. As the seals were formed, a golden sun appeared in the sky. This was a golden sun. However, it was not the pure power of the golden sun. It was the extreme yang lightning. Around the golden sun, there were golden lightning snakes dancing wildly. Swoosh! As soon as the golden sun appeared, it turned into a golden light and rushed forward. With the speed of teleportation, it landed on the foreign race's body. Boom! The golden sun exploded on the foreign race's body. The golden lightning energy instantly engulfed the foreign race's body. It clashed with the black light on the foreign race's body and caused another explosion. In this explosion, there was also a huge force. The foreign race's body kept retreating. The black light on his body was also destroyed by the lightning. The foreign race could not help but cry out in pain. Just as Zichen was fighting one-on-one with the foreign race, Tyrant and the others had already rushed forward to the black stone at the top of the tower. At the same time, the leaders of the other forces who had just killed the foreign race were also rushing toward the black stone. Scram! Before Tyrant could say anything, a shout came from the opposite side. It was Golden Flame and the others. Then they launched an attack on Tyrant's group. Tyrant's nose was almost crooked from anger. He was furious and shouted, "How dare you say Scram before Lord Zung says Scram? You're courting death." As soon as he finished speaking, the golden light around Tyrant surged. He shouted again, "Bang!" This was the first mantra of the 6-syllable mantra. Tyrant rarely used it. As soon as this mantra was used, it formed a strange destructive force that rushed toward the people in front of him. Wherever the destructive force passed, the people's previous attacks were all destroyed. At the same time, the destructive force rushed forward. Such a destructive force made the people's faces change drastically. They tried to resist the force. But in the next moment, a tremor came from the sky. It was a demon-subduing pestle that was as big as a mountain falling from the sky, smashing toward the people. Bang! Bang! In an instant, at least 3 Xiantian realm warriors were hit by the demon-subduing pestle and fell to the ground. Damn it! Golden Flame and the others looked gloomy as they looked at Tyrant. Gold power! In the next moment, Golden Flame shouted. His body emitted an endless amount of golden light. The golden light was unusually dazzling. It was not much weaker than the one around Zichen. It formed a terrifying aura. Boundless gold power surged and landed on the demon-subduing pestle. With a loud bang, the demon-subduing pestle was sent flying. At the same time, all kinds of lights surged and various kinds of energy exploded in the air. The sound of tremors was endless. Longhu and the others also launched powerful attacks. At this moment, all the forces fell out with Zichen's group because they did not know the effects of the Black Stone. Just as Zichen had predicted, when there was a conflict of interest, all the forces would unite and attack Zichen's group first. It's ours. Kill whoever dares to snatch it. Golden Flame and the others shouted coldly. Below, the foreign races died one after another. More Xiantian realm warriors rushed up and a chaotic battle broke out. In the face of so many Xiantian realm warriors, Tyrant and the others were suppressed even though they were strong. Hurry up, we can't hold on for much longer. Tyrant shouted at Zichen. Opposite Zichen, the strange being was already riddled with wounds, his life hanging by a thread. His crimson eyes were filled with unwillingness as he shouted at Zichen. Why? Didn't we come to an agreement? Facing the foreign race warrior's question, Zichen shouted, "Idiot who made an agreement with you. The foreign race must die." Then Zichen turned into a golden lightning again and rushed at the foreign race warrior. The foreign race warrior also turned into a black light and rushed at Zichen. Boom! The golden light and the black light collided, causing a huge explosion. After the explosion, the foreign race warrior's question echoed in the sky. The battle above had reached its climax. Although no Xiantian realm warriors had died, it was only a matter of time before they died. During this time, the 5 of them had passed through Tyrant's blockade and reached the black stone above the stone tower. However, before they could get close to the black stone, a silver light flashed in front of them. When the silver light disappeared, they saw that there was another person beside the black stone. Chapter 885. Somewhere in the world of darkness, there was a 9-meter-tall black altar. The altar was 9 meter tall, 9 meter long, and 9 meter wide. There were many carvings on it, and the carvings were emitting a black light. They connected together and released an aura that made one's heart palpitate. On top of the altar, there were 8 stone pillars. Like the altar, the stone pillars were mainly black in color, and the stone pillars were also engraved with fine black lines. On top of each stone pillar, there was a fist-sized black stone. The stone was emitting a black light, and it was so black that it was dazzling. It floated quietly on top of the stone pillars. If the trial takers who entered the world of darkness came here, they would definitely be able to recognize the black stone immediately. This was because the black stone was not only the same as the stone on top of the stone tower, but also the same aura. 9 black stones of the same size floated on top of the 9 stone pillars. Below the altar, a group of tall non-humankind beings were kneeling. There were at least 1,000 of them, and they were all at the mortal realm and origin core realm. They were kneeling on the ground, facing the altar, and mumbling something as if they were praying. Suddenly, rays of light appeared in the sky. These rays of light were extremely bright, and they lit up the entire world of darkness. When the rays of light appeared in the sky, it was obvious that someone was approaching. However, none of the non-humankind beings moved, and none of them raised their heads to look at the source of the light. As the light neared, it turned into human figures. Compared to the huge bodies of the non-humankind beings, the height of these newcomers was completely negligible. They were all humans, and there were a total of 5 of them. Humans and non-humankind beings were supposed to be mortal enemies. However, when these 5 humans appeared, the non-humankind beings did not react at all. In the hands of the 5th human, there was a fainted black figure. This black figure was slightly taller than a normal human, and it was covered in black fur. It was curled up. What a troublesome fellow. He was only at the origin core realm, and he almost killed us. When the 5 of them arrived, they went straight to the altar. One of them looked at the black figure with fear in his eyes. That's the famous heaven-splitting battle ape, one of the most powerful beings among the outsiders. If we hadn't joined hands, I'm afraid we would have been killed by him. The 5 landed on the altar, and one of them glanced at the black shadow. The black shadow was thrown into the center of the altar. This was where the runes of the altar intersected, and it was also the most important position. The black shadow lay there without any reaction. After falling to the ground, the face of the black shadow was revealed. It was the devil ape of the heaven-splitting battle ape bloodline. At this moment, the demonic ape seemed to have fallen into a deep slumber. There were many wounds all over its body, some of which were so deep that its bones could be seen. Black-red blood dripped from its wounds onto the altar. The black blood landed on the altar and did not scatter. They were like black and red pearls that emitted resplendent light as they landed on the patterns. As expected of the sky-rending battle ape, even its blood is extraordinary. Unfortunately, it's useless to us. A human wearing blue armor side. Even if it's useful, we can't have any ideas about it. It's the primer to open the teleportation platform. Whether or not the demons can come to this world depends on it, another person said. The others nodded. Their mission was to capture the demonic ape and then use it as a primer to open a world passage to the demons. The 5 of them chatted freely on the altar. The demons below still had their heads lowered and muttered to themselves, ignoring the 5 above. Suddenly, a human turned his head and looked at the kneeling demons. Let the ceremony begin. Hearing this, the demons raised their heads. Their crimson eyes did not look at the human, but at the altar. Their expressions became extremely fanatical. The demons all stretched out their hands. Black light surged from their hands, condensing into a 2-meter-long black blade. The black blade flashed with a cold light, as if it had materialized. The demons held the black blade with both hands, their fanatical gazes still fixed on the altar. Then they stabbed the sharp blade into their own hearts. Without any defense, the black blade easily pierced through the chest and pierced through the heart. Poof, 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 poof. The hearts of thousands of demons were pierced by the black blade. The black blade was formed by energy. After piercing through the body, it disappeared. Bright red blood gushed out from the front and back of the demons' hearts like a fountain. The bright red blood instantly flowed all over the ground. Then it quickly formed a small river from the ground and flowed towards the altar in front. Blood flowed on the ground, and the runes on the altar suddenly began to glow. These runes were like blood vessels, and they began to absorb the blood. The blood flowed along the runes at the bottom and spread upwards until it covered the entire altar. Then the blood flowed along the altar and spread towards the 9 stone pillars. With the blood seeping in, the patterns on the 9 stone pillars began to glow. They gave off a glaring blood-red light. The blood-red light on the stone pillars became dazzling, and the black stone above the stone pillars also gave off a bright light. Below, thousands of demons' expressions became weaker. This was because the altar did not just absorb their blood. Other than the blood, it also absorbed their life force. This weak appearance was also due to the loss of life force. However, they were not afraid. Instead, the light in their eyes became more and more fanatical. This was a blood sacrifice ceremony. It could only be started with a large amount of demon clan's blood. The light on the altar became brighter and brighter. The aura from the altar also became more and more frightening. The 5 humans had already left the altar in a flash. They looked at the altar in the air. After the entire altar was filled with bright red blood, the entire black altar had turned blood red. These blood red patterns began to spread towards the center where the demon ape was. The dark red blood that dripped from the demon ape exploded and joined the blood red patterns. At the same time, the blood red patterns began to spread and directly penetrated all the patterns. The altar instantly emitted a blood red light. A surge of energy was released. Under the surge of this energy, the demon ape who had fainted struggled for a while. It was obvious that it was in pain. The previous blood sacrifice was to let the bright red blood fill the entire altar. This was considered to be the start of the altar. Next, the blood in the demon ape's body would merge with the entire altar. At that time, the blood sacrifice ceremony would end. When the altar was started, the dark red blood on the demon ape's body was swallowed by the blood-red patterns. Because of the demon ape's blood, there were flashes of black light in the red patterns. The 5 of them looked at all of this with a smug smile on their faces. Their families had been planning for this day for a long time. Now, they were finally going to succeed. The blood-red patterns on the altar had a black light. At this moment, the demon ape's blood had already filled the entire altar. A terrifying aura gushed out from the altar. This was the prelude to connecting the 2 worlds. An even stronger suction force came from the altar, and the vitality of the thousands of demons were all sucked away at this moment. All of the demons died in an instant. The The black stones on the altar also emitted a bright light. This light seemed to break through the sky at this moment. It was summoning something. Soon, 9 rays of light appeared in the sky above the dark world. These 9 rays of light seemed to have come from beyond the sky. They fell straight towards the 9 black stones below. The smiles on the 5 of them grew wider. When the 9 rays of light fell, it would be the time when the 2 worlds were connected. At that time, the demon ape of the Skybreaker lineage would definitely die. Just as the 9 rays of light were about to fall, something strange happened. When one of the rays of light fell, the light became dimmer and dimmer. Its size also became smaller and smaller. It was as if it had no more power. Before it landed on the black stone, this ray of light dimmed. Out of the 9 rays of light, 1 ray of light disappeared. Only 8 rays of light fell. An aura gushed out from the 8 black stones. However, 1 ray of aura was missing. This aura was condensed and did not dissipate. It could not be released to connect the 2 worlds. Damn it! What is going on? Exasperated voices were heard from the 5 of them. The 8 rays of light were unable to be released. They were forced back. First, they fell from the black stones and entered the stone pillars. Then, they followed the patterns on the stone pillars and landed on the altar. As they spread, they reached the very center of the altar and landed on the demon ape's body. A surge of energy entered the demon ape's body and wildly attacked its meridians. The demon ape was awakened by the heart-wrenching pain. It immediately opened its eyes. Zichen appeared above as quickly as he could. He arrived at the top of the stone tower and beside the black stones. However, before he could break through the seal, the entire stone tower began to shine. Then the black stones began to shine. A surge of energy rushed out from the black stones. The seal on the surface of the black stones was instantly dispersed by the energy. Then the energy shot into the sky and into the sky. This scene stunned everyone. Even the people who were fighting over the obsidian were stunned. Zichen was the same. He stared blankly at the energy that shot into the sky. "Little guy, hurry up and take the obsidian." Suddenly, an old voice sounded in Zichen's mind. This voice startled Zichen. However, he subconsciously grabbed the obsidian. Without using much strength, the obsidian was moved away by Zichen and taken away. The light that shot into the sky was interrupted because of this. Zichen took the obsidian. The light that shot into the sky disappeared. The others were also awakened. Zichen put down the thing. "This is ours." Loud shouts sounded instantly. The chaotic battle continued. "Retreat, retreat quickly." Zichen, who was holding the obsidian, retreated quickly. Hearing this, Tyrant and the others also retreated. However, the group of Xiantian warriors were like the demons. Their eyes were red. They looked at the obsidian in Zichen's hand as if they were looking at a Xiantian inheritance technique. They quickly chased after him. "We can't keep running like this. What should we do?" Tyrant asked worriedly. They hadn't found the exit of this world. If they kept running like this, they would be caught sooner or later. "Take these things in case you need them." Zichen put away the obsidian. With a flash of light, strange items appeared in his hand. Zichen had bought more than 40 strange items. Now, he took out half of them and threw them to the crowd. "If necessary, kill without mercy," Zichen said coldly. Unexpectedly, as soon as his voice fell, a surge of energy surged behind him. Then, a huge black hole appeared behind Zichen. Chapter 886. A black hole appeared behind Zichen. It seemed to be the exit of this world. Without any hesitation, Zichen gestured for everyone to step into it. Behind them, the others panicked when they saw the black hole. They quickly chased after them. During this time, someone even took out a mystical item. As soon as the mystical item appeared, It emitted a brilliant light and a destructive aura. Zi-Chen's expression changed drastically. The others were also stunned when they felt the aura. Zi-Chen shouted at the stunned people, "Hurry up and leave!" They all came to their senses and stepped into the black hole. Zi-Chen turned around and faced the mystical item. The mystical item was a nail. It was smaller than the size of a palm, but it was surging with an aura that could destroy a Xiantian realm warrior. This nail was exactly the same as the one Zi-Chen had bought in the treasure pavilion. Obviously, it was also from the treasure pavilion. Zi-Chen thought of that old man and was so angry that the roots of his teeth itched. Zi-Chen's body flashed, and a loud dragon roar resounded. The dragon's soul spear appeared in Zi-Chen's hand. The nail whistled and rushed towards Zi-Chen, rippling with a destructive aura. Zi-Chen gripped the long spear tightly and used the first move of the heaven-piercing spear art. A brilliant silver light shot out from the tip of the spear and turned into a silver dragon. A terrifying aura surged around it. The silver dragon collided with the nail, causing a loud explosion. The powerful silver dragon did not even manage to withstand the attack of the mystical object for a single moment before it exploded. The power of the mystical object was still terrifying, and it rushed towards Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen swung the spear again. The tip of the spear collided with the nail, and a sonorous sound rang out. Sparks flew in all directions. A massive force came from the strange object, and Zi-Chen's dragon soul spear was almost knocked out of his hand. At the same time, a massive force flowed through the spear into his body, turning into a massive wave of energy that wanted to destroy Zi-Chen's body. However, as this force surged in, Zi-Chen's level 8 strength formed an indestructible golden defense in his body. The strange item's attack was very powerful. Even someone with level 7 physical strength might not be able to withstand it. However, Zi-Chen's physical strength was level 8. Furthermore, it was a level 8 perfect body. These forces were quickly resolved without injuring Zi-Chen at all. The mystical item rolled back and fell into the hands of its owner. Although Zi-Chen was not injured, he was still pushed back by the force. Behind him was the black tunnel, and he entered it after being pushed back. His figure disappeared from the entrance of the tunnel. The mystical item was said to be able to kill a Xiantian martial artist and a human origin expert. However, Zi-Chen had blocked it unscathed. The people who were charging forward stopped in midair, their faces filled with shock. He actually blocked the mystical item's attack. Did he really break through? Golden Flame's expression turned ugly. It doesn't matter if he broke through or not. He can't take the item away, Huisi said coldly as he put away the mystical item in his hand. That's right. As long as we join forces, Zi-Chen and his group will die no matter how strong they are. They had not expected Zi-Chen to block the mystical item's attack so easily. It was inevitable that they were shocked. However, after the shock, their killing intent became even more resolute. The murderous intent on their faces became even more intense. Let's go. Golden Flame's eyes flashed with killing intent as he led the group into the black hole. After rushing into the black hole, the group realized that this was not the exit of the world, but another dark world. This place was very similar to the previous dark world. It could be considered the second layer of the dark world. After entering, the group saw a pillar of light in the distance. This pillar of light was very similar to the previous one. When the group saw it, they exclaimed, "There's another black stone in front of us." Golden Flame and the others naturally saw it. However, before they could rejoice, their expressions changed. They cursed inwardly. Damn it. Let's hurry over. Without hesitation, the group rushed towards the pillar of light. During this time, several rays of light had already approached the pillar of light. It was Zi-Chen and his group. Since the two sides had completely fallen out, and Huisi had even taken out a mystical item to attack him, Zi-Chen would naturally not be merciful. he would definitely get what he deserved. In a flash of light, Zichun had already used his extreme speed to overtake Tyrant and the others. Under the 9 flashes of lightning, Zichun used his extreme speed to dodge the attacks of several demons. He flew to the top of the stone tower next to the black stone. Then, without hesitation, Zichun stretched out his hand towards the black stone. The blood sacrifice ceremony was activated. In order to successfully break through the 2 worlds and open up a path other than the blood sacrifice ceremony, they also needed to borrow the power of the 9 dark worlds. This altar was located at the center of the 9 worlds. The 9 stone pillars corresponded to the 9 worlds and the 9 stone towers. The obsidian crystals on top of the pillars corresponded to the 9 huge obsidian stones on top of the stone towers. But now one of the 9 obsidian stones was missing, so naturally one of the 9 rays of light was missing. The entire blood sacrifice ritual had ended in failure. On the altar, the devil ape had awakened, and the surging power was converging towards him. Under the turbulent energy, the demon ape let out a painful roar. Thousands of rays of energy poured into his body, and then through his body, it spread to the entire altar. His eyes were wide open, and the energy in his body was surging. The patterns on the altar were all emitting a blood-red light, like a peerless beast that had been resurrected. The demon ape had now become one with the altar. How could this be? The sudden change made the faces of the 5 human origin stage cultivators filled with disbelief. 9 rays of light. Why did one of them disappear? What happened? Let's go and check. Maybe the obsidian stone fell off when we broke through the barrier. The 5 of them reacted quickly. They were afraid that such a situation would happen. However, if that was really the case, they would just have to put the obsidian back. However, before they could turn around, one of the 8 pillars of light suddenly disappeared. Another one disappeared. The 5 of them were shocked. It can't be that both of them have problems. Even if there was a problem, the demons would put the obsidian stone back on the altar to ensure that the ceremony would continue as usual. The obsidian stone couldn't have fallen off. It could only be that someone took it away. Could it be that someone came here? But that's impossible. This is the ancient road of the ancient trial. Apart from the sky-splitting battle ape, no one else can come here, unless they are also controllers. The disappearance of the rays of light was completely unexpected, but just as they said a few words, the 3rd ray of light disappeared. Someone must have come here to ruin our plan. Damn it, who the hell is it? The 5 of them were completely enraged. After so many years of planning, they were just about to succeed, but it was ruined by someone. This was something they couldn't accept. But like a chain reaction, the rays of light disappeared one after another. Before the 5 of them could find out the reason, only 4 of the 9 rays of light were left. At this moment, in the outer 9 dark worlds, there were figures of trial takers rushing towards the stone towers at the fastest speed to collect the obsidian stone. During this time, the demons were crazily attacking the trial takers, but there were too few of them. Even though they were strong, they couldn't kill all the trial takers. The number of Sciention stage cultivators dying was still increasing. The 9 dark worlds had been completely connected. Everyone was rushing towards the stone towers at the fastest speed to collect the obsidian stone. They didn't know what the obsidian stone was used for, but this didn't stop them from risking their lives. In their eyes, the obsidian stone in each world was the real treasure. It didn't matter if they didn't know what it was, because they were weak and didn't know much about it. There were many good things in this world that they didn't know about. In the search, Chen's group was the fastest. Chen also had the same idea. He had already collected 3 obsidian stones. Under his extreme speed, the demons couldn't catch up to him. And when he collected the obsidian stone, he didn't encounter any restrictions, so his speed was naturally very fast. Huisi. Just as they arrived in a new world, Zichun saw a familiar figure. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Zichen, feeling a chill behind him, Huasi turned his head. When he saw Zichen, his pupils shrank. Die. Seeing Huasi, Zichen didn't say anything. He flashed and rushed towards him. Huasi was also unwilling to be outdone. He raised a flaming saber and slashed towards Zichen. Beside him, the other Xiantian realm martial artists that followed Huasi also attacked Zichen. The heavenly thunder wings appeared on Zichen's back. He used extreme speed to dodge several Xiantian realm attacks. He rushed to Huasi's side and swept the spear in his hand. A dragon's roar resounded. The silver spear light collided with Huasi's blade light. Boom! The two kinds of energy collided with a loud explosion. A surge of energy rippled, and the two were pushed back. As soon as they were pushed back, they turned into rays of light and rushed forward again, launching various energy attacks. The two were like two rays of light, constantly in a stalemate. Beside them, the other Xiantian realm warriors wanted to attack, but they didn't know how to start. Tyrant and the others arrived at the right time. When they saw Zichen and Huasi fighting fiercely, they also attacked the other Xiantian realm warriors. A chaotic battle broke out in an instant. In the midst of the chaos, strange objects flashed. Zichen's group was the first to use them. Poof! Poof! Caught off guard, the two Xiantian realm warriors were hit by strange objects and were instantly seriously injured. Before the two could retreat, Wang Xian, and Lin Shui launched a sharp attack. Two Xiantian realm martial artists were killed before they could even display their full strength, leaving with a grudge. Die. A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. He clenched his right hand into a fist and held the spear in his left hand. He rushed toward Huasi. At this moment, Zichen displayed his full strength. He was determined to kill Huasi. Die. Huasi's eyes were also filled with madness. He shook his hand, and the strange object that he had used before appeared again. He then attacked Zichen fiercely. At the same time, Huasi also held the fire blade and slashed at Zichen. At this moment, the two were fighting with their lives on the line. The result of such a battle would be either one of them dying. Zichen's fist collided with the fire blade. The fire blade was instantly knocked away. At the same time, Zichen pointed his spear at Huasi's chest. Chapter 887. As a Xiantian realm martial artist of the Hua family, Huasi had experienced many battles along the way. He might not be able to compare with Zichen. After all, he had the support of the Hua family. But in terms of ruthlessness, the two were on par. So, in terms of ruthlessness, he wasn't afraid of Zichen. If Zichen risked his life to fight with him, he would accompany him and risk his life as well. Both of them unleashed their sure-kill attacks. But Huasi's preparations weren't enough. After the fire blade in his hand was sent flying by Zichen's powerful punch, his chest was exposed. With only an energy barrier protecting his body, the Dragon Soul Spear was thrusting towards his chest at extreme speed. At this moment, Huasi's strange item attack was just a hair's breadth away from Zichen's chest. With his extreme speed, this hair's breadth was enough for Zichen to completely abandon the Dragon Soul Spear and retreat after piercing through Huasi's chest, dodging the fatal blow. Huasi didn't seem to have noticed such a large opening. But even if he did, it was already too late and he couldn't launch an effective counterattack. The Dragon Soul Spear ruthlessly stabbed into Huasi's chest. The energy barrier protecting his body shattered without any surprise. But just as Zichen thought that the spear would be able to pierce through Huasi's chest, he felt a resistance coming from the tip of the spear. Ding! With a light sound, the tip of the spear was completely blocked outside of Huasi's chest. Zichen's expression instantly stiffened as shock appeared on his face. In that split second of pause, the strange object rapidly shot towards Zi Chen's chest. Zi Chen's energy barrier was unable to block it at all, and the strange object's nail pierced through the barrier with a pew sound, nailing itself into Zi Chen's chest. Ha! Seeing the strange item nail into Zi Chen's chest, Huasi laughed out loud. It was as if he could already see the scene of Zi Chen being nailed to death. The stunned expression on Zi Chen's face disappeared in an instant as he looked at Huasi coldly and calmly. Huasi's expression changed as he sensed that something was wrong. His figure flashed as he prepared to retreat. However, at this moment, a light flashed beside Zi Chen as two figures suddenly appeared. There were two identical Zi Chen. One was radiating a golden light, while the other was radiating a brilliant silver light. As soon as the two of them appeared, they both pointed at the fire. An ultimate energy shot out from between their fingers. This ultimate energy contained a frightening aura. When it arrived in front of Huasi, it collided and exploded. A surge of energy exploded in front of Huasi, forming a destructive storm. There were two types of energy within the destructive storm, and Huasi was the first to be sucked in. Within the storm, Huasi's miserable cries could be heard. Zi Chen's expression was cold and calm as he took this opportunity to retreat and avoid the destructive storm. At this moment, the strange item nail was still nailed into Zi Chen's chest. Golden blood dripped from his chest. This was only a superficial wound. The real fatal wound was the destructive energy contained within the strange item. This energy was trying to destroy Zi Chen's body and soul. However, Zi Chen had a level 8 perfect physique. His blood and bones had been tempered by heavenly lightning and were extremely resilient. They formed layers of defense to resist the destructive energy. Zi Chen's eyes stared straight ahead as he allowed the destructive energy in his body to attack his defenses. As the destructive storm continued, Huasi's miserable cries lasted for 2 breaths. The battle between the other innate stage warriors in the distance stopped because of Huasi's cries. Everyone's eyes were on Zi Chen and the destructive storm that was letting out Huasi's miserable cries. As for Zi Chen's 2 clones, they dissipated after one attack. This trump card could kill someone unexpectedly, so Zi Chen would not let others see it. The battle just now was extremely intense, so no one noticed this scene. Now that the energy storm had formed, everyone thought that it was Zi Chen who made it. After 3 breaths, the destructive storm slowly dissipated, and so did Huasi's miserable cries. After 5 breaths, the destructive storm completely disappeared. An incomplete figure fell from the sky. Half of Huasi's face was badly mutilated, and half of his arm and both legs were gone. Naturally, his vitality was gone. After being destroyed by the 2 clones, Huasi's clothes were also destroyed by the energy, revealing a fiery red armored stomach. It was this stomach that had blocked Zi Chen's powerful attack, and now it was protecting Huasi's upper body. Seeing Huasi's dead body, everyone was shocked, and fear grew in their hearts. The 2 sides had only fought for a short time, but Huasi was easily killed by Zi Chen. Kill without mercy. Just as everyone was shocked, Zi Chen's cold voice rang out. Then Zi Chen descended from the sky and walked towards Huasi's corpse with his back to the crowd. Kill! Tyrant shouted. He took out a strange item first. It was a withered branch that emitted lightning. The branch flew to the head of a Xiantian stage warrior, and a bolt of heavenly lightning shot out from it. A bolt of heavenly lightning shot out, and several cracks appeared on the withered branch. The descending bolt of heavenly lightning also heavily injured a Xiantian stage warrior. In the next moment, the flying divine tiger rushed up and smashed the Xiantian stage warrior's head. Another Xiantian stage warrior was killed, and the fear on everyone's faces intensified, especially when they saw the branch flying towards them again. Everyone's expression changed, and they began to flee. Hua Xi's death shocked everyone, and coupled with the powerful attacks of Tyrant and the others, they were extremely flustered. At this moment, everyone was only focused on escaping, and no one noticed that there was a strange item nailed to Zichen's chest. Zichen slowly landed beside Huasi, and finally couldn't help coughing out a mouthful of golden blood. His body swayed, and he almost fell. Su Mengyao and Lin Shui quickly rushed forward to support Zichen. Both of them saw the strange item nailed to Zichen's chest, and their expressions changed greatly. "Zichen, are you okay?" Lin Shui asked anxiously. Zichen's face was pale, but he shook his head and said, "I'm fine." "You're still saying you're fine? The strange item is nailed to your chest." Lin Shui's eyes reddened, and she almost cried. She was afraid that something would happen to Zichen. Zichen shook his head again and said, "I'm really fine. Now, let's go and get my harvest." The two naturally wouldn't go. They both looked at Zichen, afraid that something would happen to Zichen as soon as they left. "I'll pick up the harvest. You hurry up and get that thing out." Tyrant chased for a while before returning. Zichen reached into his chest. As the golden light around his body surged, he grabbed the nail and pulled it out with great force. At this moment, the nail seemed to have grown on Zichen's chest. As Zichen pulled it out with great force, he felt as if his blood, flesh, and meridians were being pulled out. This was caused by the strength of the nail entering every part of his body. Under Zichen's forceful pull, it was as if his tendons and muscles were being pulled out. As the nail was pulled out, Zichen's face instantly lost all color. It was as if there was no strength left in his body. If it weren't for the two women supporting him, he might have collapsed. This kind of life-risking method isn't worth it. The women were so worried that they couldn't say a word. After taking away the things on Huasi's body, Tyrant stood up and said, Zichen swallowed a pill, and his pale face became rosy again. The bloody hole in his chest also began to heal. His complexion recovered almost instantly, and his voice became strong again. Just an injury in exchange for Huasi's life. This exchange is very worthwhile. If we were to fight based on strength, I'm afraid it would take a long time to determine the victor. It would be troublesome if the others came to help. All right, how was the harvest? Tyrant raised the spiritual ring in his hand and smiled. Naturally, it was a great harvest. This armor stomach is also not bad. Its defensive power is super strong, and it should be able to block several attacks from the mysterious object. Hurry up and put on. After saying that, Tyrant tossed the armor stomach he took from Huasi's body to Zichen. Zichen accepted it without hesitation and put it on in front of everyone. After killing Huasi, it was naturally time to deal with Jin Yan and the others. When the time came, it would be a fierce battle. With the armor stomach, Zichen's safety was guaranteed. A few minutes later, Zichen's injuries were completely healed. Only then did the three women relax. However, this delay meant that the obsidian in this world would be taken away by others. However, Zichen didn't care. As long as he found the Xiantian expert who took the obsidian, he would directly kill him. After recovering from their injuries, the group continued on their way. Where to now? Tyrant asked. Zichen said heroically, Find Jin Yan and the others and kill them. Take the initiative to kill. Not bad. Zichen nodded. Taking the initiative to kill people is not your style. It wasn't in the past, but it is now. As they spoke, Zichen and the others turned into streaks of light and left this dark world, stepping into another world. Although this little fellow is strong and ruthless, he lacks decisiveness, especially when it comes to killing. His decisiveness now, was it your idea? Above the world, an old man asked. Another person nodded. Of course. The old man's expression immediately turned suspicious. Although this little fellow isn't very smart, he definitely won't trust people easily. Why would he listen to you? The other old man glanced at him and laughed. "Didn't you laugh at me for not knowing how to count? I was tricked by this little fellow and gave him more than 1,000 contribution points for nothing." "That's right. Weren't you tricked by him? It was supposed to be 10 times, but you gave him 11 times. That's why I said that my honesty moved him. When he heard my voice transmission, he naturally guessed my identity, so he agreed. This is called trust, you know? You wouldn't understand even if I told you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have laughed at me before." The old man curled his lips. Who doesn't know how to trust? Zi-Chun indeed heard a familiar voice, so he decisively took the obsidian. In addition, Zi-Chun changed his previous passive approach and chose to take the initiative. Because of his contact with the old man, he felt that the old man wasn't a bad person. He trusted him. The news of Hua Xi's death quickly spread through the 9 dark worlds. When Jin Yan heard this, his expression changed greatly. Tu Luo. At the same time, Zi-Chun saw Tu Luo of the Tu family. The latter was leading a group of people to fight against the demons, taking advantage of the situation to steal the obsidian. Hearing Zi-Chen shout, Tu Luo's expression changed greatly. When he saw Zi-Chen, he turned around and ran. Chapter 888. Seeing Zi-Chen standing in front of him, Tu Luo's expression changed and shouted at Zi-Chen, "Zi-Chen, what do you want?" Zi-Chen chuckled and said, "I don't want anything." Tu Luo's mouth twitched as he looked at Zi-Chen, who took out the dragon soul spear and shouted, "Nothing? Who do you think you are?" Zi-Chen said, "All right, I admit that I want to kill you. But what about you? What do you want?" Tu Luo was stunned and said, "I don't want to do anything." Just as a smile appeared on Zi-Chen's face, a cold light flashed in Tu Luo's eyes. Strange item again, strange item again. A small sword appeared in front of Tu Luo, and with a thought, the small sword shot towards Zi-Chen's forehead with the speed of teleportation. Tu Luo was smarter than Sihua and knew to attack Zi-Chen's forehead. That was everyone's weak point. Once struck, one's soul would be destroyed and the person would die. Zi-Chen's feet flashed and the lightning wings on his back flapped. He turned into a ray of silver light and dodged the killing blow. The small sword turned into a ray of light and whistled through the sky. Zi-Chen took this opportunity to dash forward and launch an attack at Tu Luo. Tyrant and the others also launched powerful attacks. They were determined to kill the people brought by Tu Luo. Moreover, Zi-Chun had given them many strange items, so they weren't afraid of exhausting themselves. In the world of darkness, the news of Zi-Chen and Tu Luo's battle quickly spread to the other worlds. Jin Yan heard the news and immediately headed towards the world where the battle was taking place. At the same time, Mulong and Shui Ether also led their people and rushed out from the other 2 worlds. The 3 of them led dozens of Xiantian realm experts and met in one of the worlds. Jin Yan asked, "You guys have also received the news?" Mulong snorted and said, "This Zi-Chen is too daring. He actually dared to attack the 5 Elements faction. He's courting death. Zi-Chen has 2 types of Xiantian Yuan Qi. He might have broken through to the late Xiantian realm. He also knows several Xiantian realm techniques. Sihua's death is a lesson. Let's go help Tu Luo and kill Zi-Chen together." Shui Ether said, "With the few of us working together, it's useless no matter how strong he is." The 3 of them led the group of Khanate martial artists into the pitch-black world passageway and entered the dark world where Zi-Chun and Tulo were fighting. After entering this world of darkness, the expected sounds of battle and energy fluctuations did not appear. The entire world was deathly silent and no sound could be heard. The 3 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of unease in each other's eyes. The 3 of them subconsciously increased their speed, and a moment later, they discovered a battlefield. The entire battlefield was a complete mess. There were more than 20 corpses on the ground. Apart from the 6 Hotian martial artists, the rest were all Xiantian martial artists. The blood on these corpses had not dried yet. It was obvious that they had died not too long ago. There was still some violent energy left in the air. It was hot and cold, and it was produced by the collision of 2 extreme energies. There was no need to guess. The 3 of them knew that this energy came from Ziqin. A battle had taken place here. Ziqin had fought here, but where was Tu Luo? They searched around but couldn't find any trace of him. Could it be that Tu Luo escaped? The moment this question appeared, it was mercilessly eliminated by the 3 of them. They had seen how fast Ziqin was. Under the world's fastest speed, no one present could be faster than Ziqin. Tu Luo wasn't good at speed. When fighting against Ziqin, as long as he was entangled by Ziqin, it was impossible for him to escape. Since Tu Luo couldn't escape, then where could he have gone if not here? The 3 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of deep fear in each other's eyes. The 3 of them simultaneously thought of a possibility. Tu Luo was dead, but they couldn't find his corpse. There should be nothing left of him. Tu Luo's corpse was indeed gone. Due to the strong defense of the earth element technique, Tu Luo was extremely confident in his own defense. Therefore, he didn't have any defensive measures on him. Under the situation where he couldn't defeat Ziqin in a head-on clash, Ziqin broke through his defense, and the injured Tu Luo was blasted apart by the 2 types of energies. Of course, Tu Luo's spirit ring was still intact and was taken away by Ziqin. The 3 of them had ugly expressions as they swept their gazes across the dozen Xiantian realm cultivators below them. Their bodies couldn't help but tremble. In this treasure hunt, the number of Xiantian realm martial artists that had died was huge, and more than 80% of them had been killed by Ziqin. The dead Xiantian realm martial artists had all their resources taken away, including their Yuan Dan. Ziqin's strength made the 3 of them fearful. They had no choice but to form an alliance. If the 3 of them were to split up, they would definitely be annihilated by Ziqin. Just as the 3 of them nodded to form an alliance, the space around them suddenly trembled. Their expressions changed as they quickly retreated and entered a state of alertness. The space trembled and cracked open, forming a pitch-black tunnel. The 3 of them sensed an unfamiliar aura from this tunnel. Clearly, this was a newly opened world of darkness. This is a new world of darkness. Let's go in. The wariness in the 3 of them disappeared as joy appeared on their faces. Without any hesitation, they led their Xiantian realm cultivators and entered. Just as the group entered, the newly opened entrance suddenly closed, as if it was specially opened for this group of people. There was no such entrance in the other worlds. The 9 obsidian stones had all been taken away during this time. Most of them fell into Ziqin's hands, and a small portion was with the 3 of them. As for the others, they didn't get anything. These people's expressions were extremely ugly. They were very unwilling to accept the fact that they didn't get anything from the world of darkness. However, after changing the 9 worlds, they didn't get anything except some obsidian stones that were comparable to human elemental cores. Since the main characters are here, it's time to close this place. A voice sounded from above the world of darkness as an old man waved his sleeve towards the world of darkness below. The old man used the power of the world of darkness. As the guardian of the ancient road, he could use some of the power of the world of darkness, just like the barbarian god. However, he could only use a little bit of it, and there were many restrictions. However, he still had the authority to open a passage for everyone to leave. This passage was opened for everyone in the 9 world of darkness. Everyone didn't know what was going on and thought that the next world of darkness would be another world of darkness. They stepped in one after another, but after entering, they would leave this place. Soon, there were no traces of the challengers in the 9 worlds. At this moment, Ziqin's group, along with Jin Yan's group, had reached the 10th world in the middle. Under the old man's deliberate actions, As soon as Zichen appeared, he saw the group of Xiantian realm cultivators, led by the three of them. Jin Yan, Zichen. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Both sides didn't need to say much. They just started fighting. Be careful. Zichen glanced at the people behind him, then held the dragon soul spear and rushed towards the three of them. At the same time, light flashed around Zichen's body, and two clones appeared beside him. The two clones held human-grade weapons in their hands. One was the fire blade from Huasi, and the other was Tu Luo's weapon. Zichen rushed towards the three of them alone, causing them to sneer. They looked at each other and saw the cruelty in each other's eyes. The three of them also took out their human-grade weapons and rushed towards Zichen and the two clones. Just as the battle was about to break out, a withered branch appeared in Zichen's hand. He instantly threw it out. The branch flew into the sky, and a thick thunderbolt fell from the sky, ruthlessly striking at Jin Yan. At the same time, Zichen's two clones took out their artifacts and attacked the other two. The three clones' expressions changed drastically. Jin Yan shouted, "You're despicable." "Humph. How can I be despicable in a battle of life and death?" Zichen snorted coldly. He controlled the artifacts to attack and used the dragon soul spear to attack. Boom! In the midst of the tremors, the fierce battle began. The crowd purposely left a battlefield for the four of them, and then opened up another battlefield not far away. In this battlefield, Tyrant was in charge because he had many artifacts. He was mainly responsible for controlling the artifacts to attack the Xiantian warriors, while the others went to kill the Xiantian warriors after they were injured. This was a battle of Xiantian warriors, but in order to increase the speed of killing the enemies, this battle had also evolved into a contest of artifacts. The two sides were competing in the number of artifacts. In a group of Xiantian warriors, if they could take out one or two artifacts, it was enough to prove that they were rich and powerful. But compared to Tyrant, they were obviously weak. Not counting the artifacts in Tu Luo and Huasi's spiritual ring. Just the artifacts Zichen gave them were more than 20. What did 20 artifacts mean? If he used them well, it would be equivalent to injuring 60 Xiantian realm martial artists. And in this place, any injured Xiantian warrior could forget about escaping alive. Just as Zichen was fighting 1 against 3, and both sides were evenly matched, Tyrant had already led the crowd to crush the Xiantian warriors. Screams of agony rang out continuously. Almost every scream represented the death of a Xiantian realm martial artist. As for the incoming Hotian realm martial artists, Tyrant couldn't be bothered to deal with them. This was because Wang Xian could kill such existences with a single sweep of her sword light from afar. The continuous deaths of the Xiantian warriors made Jin Yan and the other two turn pale. But Zichen's combat strength was too strong. Even if it was 3 against 1, the three of them could not suppress him quickly. Moreover, Zichen had many artifacts, which made the three of them feel very strained. As peak Xiantian warriors, they were able to fight against opponents of a higher level. They were very proud of their combat strength, but this was the first time they felt helpless against Zichen. Boom! Zichen's aura suddenly became violent. He was originally at the middle stage of the primordial core realm, but now he was exuding the aura of a late-stage primordial core realm cultivator. This aura was more than 10 times stronger than before, and it suddenly appeared, catching Jin Yan off guard. His aura was strong, and his attack and speed had become extremely terrifying. Zichen's attack landed on Jin Yan's chest, who was caught off guard. With a loud explosion, Jin Yan was sent flying. The bones in his chest were shattered, and he coughed out blood. Injuring Jin Yan with 1 strike, the two of them were shocked. But at this moment, Zichen appeared in front of them again and punched them. Bang! Bang! Another 2 loud bangs were heard, and the two of them were sent flying. They were more or less injured. The three of them were obviously shocked. They had guessed that Zi Chen had broken through to the late stage of the primordial core realm, and that Zi Chen's combat strength was strong. But they did not expect Zi Chen's combat strength to be so strong. Chapter 889. The tyrannical aura came from the deepest part of this world, where the altar was located. At this moment on the altar, the demonic ape looked ferocious, and his body was glowing with a blood-red light. Because he was at the center of the altar, his entire body had merged with the altar, and he was enduring the pain of the powerful energy piercing through his body. However, because of the altar, the demonic ape did not explode immediately after the energy pierced through his body. As the light pillars dissipated one by one, the powerful energy on the obsidian crystals gradually disappeared. However, the energy that the altar had absorbed from the blood essence of thousands of demons was still present. This energy was extremely terrifying and was currently circulating around the altar. The devil ape was the first to bear the brunt of this energy and was struck by it. The crazy impact of the energy made the demonic ape roar in pain. The 5 humans were watching from afar, and they did not dare to step forward because this energy was too terrifying. The energy vibration from afar seemed to indicate that someone had entered this world. The 5 of them decided to go and check it out. This sky-splitting battle ape is definitely going to die. Let's not bother with it. If he could withstand the impact of thousands of demonic beasts, it would be a great fortune. Unfortunately, he is only at the origin core realm. Even if he was at the mortal origin realm, he would not be able to withstand it. He would definitely die. The 5 of them had already come to a conclusion about the demonic ape. Since this place had been destroyed, their plan had failed. They were so angry that they wanted to kill the demonic ape. However, the demonic ape had merged with the altar, and the destructive aura it emitted scared them. They did not dare to step forward. We will come back to collect your body later. One of them gritted his teeth and said. Then the 5 of them went to check out the source of the energy. Boom! Suddenly a violent aura came from the altar again. The 5 of them turned around, wanting to see if the demonic ape had been blasted into nothingness. After turning around, they saw that the demonic ape was still alive. The source of the violent aura was a black stick in front of the demonic ape. This black stick was 2 meters long, and there were runes flashing on it. It was absorbing the blood chi of thousands of demonic beasts on the altar. It is that demonic weapon. Seeing this, the 5 of them were shocked. However, the aura emanating from the altar was still terrifying. The 5 of them did not dare to step forward. They could only watch from afar as the black staff devoured the blood energy. In just 10 breaths worth of time, the black staff had absorbed 80% of the blood energy from over 1,000 demons, while the remaining 20% was channeled into the demonic ape's body. Just as all the blood and chi disappeared, the altar beneath the devil ape's feet exploded, and the 9 stone pillars around it shattered as well. The 9 obsidian crystals on top of the pillars fell down and were quickly caught by the devil ape. To the demon race, this obsidian crystal was a true treasure. The demon ape accepted the obsidian crystal and grabbed the black stick with one hand. A powerful aura surged around its body, and a pair of cold eyes fell on the 5 of them through the explosion of the altar. Being stared at by the demonic ape, the expressions of the 5 changed. For some reason, they had a bad feeling in their hearts. The 5 of them looked at each other, then rushed toward the demonic ape. The 5 of them were all cultivators of the human origin realm who had successfully passed through the ancient road. Their battle strength was far beyond that of a normal human origin realm cultivator. The 5 of them should have been very confident in killing a core Yuan demon ape together, but they were not confident at the moment. The demonic ape swung the stick, and a powerful aura surged. A black dragon rushed out from the black stick, striking toward one of the human origin realm cultivators. The human origin realm cultivator activated the energy in his body, preparing to block the attack. Bang! The black dragon collided with the human origin realm cultivator, and a loud sound was heard. The space trembled, and the human origin realm cultivator was sent flying. After sending one of them flying, the demonic ape swung the stick again, and the black dragon surged out again. After 4 swings, the 4 people in front of it were sent flying. The 5 of them were sent flying by the demonic ape's 5 stick strikes, and their faces were filled with shock. They looked at each other and saw fear in each other's eyes. Obviously, the demonic ape was more terrifying than before. In addition to their own battle strength, the demonic weapon's power had increased a lot as well. It would be difficult for the 5 of them to suppress the demonic ape in a short time. Let's go! The 5 of them were sent flying, but they did not plan to let the demonic ape go. After nodding their heads, they rushed toward the demonic ape again. The sound of energy vibrating was heard again. The demonic ape's eyes shone with a red light, and with coldness it launched a powerful attack. However, it was still difficult for the demonic ape to fight against 5 of them. It could only use the power of the black stick to send the 5 of them flying, but it could not kill them. Moreover, if it became a long battle, the demonic ape would be at a great disadvantage. The demonic ape naturally heard the sound of energy vibrating from afar, and guessed that there was a battle happening in the distance. However, the battle had nothing to do with it. If it had to be related, the demonic ape guessed that the people fighting there were also their companions. Once the battle was over, the demonic ape would be in even more danger. The demonic ape guessed half of it right. Those people were indeed their companions. However, the demonic ape did not guess the other half, which was that the other group of people were its companions. The sound of energy vibrating from afar was getting closer, and there were also screams coming from the horizon. It could be heard that a group of people had started to retreat and were getting closer and closer. The screams were getting closer and closer, and soon they reached the horizon. One by one, figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The 3 youths in the lead were all outstanding individuals with extraordinary aptitudes. Behind them were numerous Sciention realm cultivators. The 5 human origin realm warriors turned their heads, and when they saw the 3 people in front of them, they were stunned. Jin Yen, Mu Long, Shui Ether. The 3 of them also saw the 5 mortal origin stage cultivators from afar. Their faces were filled with astonishment, but it quickly turned into joy. With the help of the 5 mortal origin stage cultivators, their combat strength would naturally increase by a lot. Killing Zi Qin would no longer be a problem. Let's go! Jin Yen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and led the others to fly forward like lightning. The 5 human origin realm warriors' faces kept changing. Obviously, they did not expect that they would be the ones who ruined their plan. However, it was not the time to pursue the matter. They had to capture or kill the only thing that could lead them to the demonic ape. Seeing that they knew each other and that they were all very powerful, the demonic ape's heart sank to the bottom. However, it was already pinned down by the 5 of them, and it was impossible for it to escape. The disappointment in the demonic ape's heart instantly disappeared. Instead, it laughed out loud. There was despair and sadness in the laughter, but more than that, there was madness. Now it wanted to kill. Killing one was enough, and the more people it killed, the better. Waiting for death was never the demonic ape's worldview. It wanted to take the initiative to attack. Boom! In the demonic ape's hand, the black stick seemed to have sensed its state of mind, and an even more violent aura emerged from its body. After that, the demonic ape waved the black stick and swept it forward. In desperation and madness, the demonic ape's attack was even more terrifying. With the flickering of the stick, the 4 human origin realm warriors were all swept away. However, they were only swept away. They were only slightly injured, not even severely injured. At most, there was a small amount of blood at the corner of their mouths. After sweeping away the 4 people, the demonic ape's red eyes suddenly became even redder. It reached out its left hand and grabbed the 5th human origin realm warrior. The demonic ape seemed to have grasped the laws of nature, and a black light surged between its fingers. The black light fell on the 5th person and immediately bound his body. Although this kind of cross-level binding couldn't last more than a breath, it was enough for the demonic ape to attack. The black stick emitted a violent aura, and with the force of Mount Tai, it smashed down on the 5th person's head. The latter's energy was quickly fading, and when he saw the stick coming down, he was scared out of his wits. Boom! The stick smashed down, and the 5th person was instantly sent flying. However, at the last moment, the 5th person's energy recovered and blocked the killing blow. But after being sent flying, he was also seriously injured. Golden Flame and the others were quickly approaching the demonic ape. When they saw the demonic ape send 4 people flying and another severely injured, they were shocked by the demonic ape's strength. At this moment, they really felt like there was a tiger in front of them and behind them, and they were surrounded by a pack of tigers. "Come and help, and kill him quickly!" the human origin realm warriors shouted at Golden Flame and the others. The 3 of them were definitely not weaker than them, and the rest of the Khanate realm warriors were not to be underestimated either. The demonic ape's heart sank, and it attacked with more strength. At this moment, a long howl came from the horizon, and then a silver figure flew over from afar. Hearing the familiar howl, the demonic ape's body trembled. It turned its head in disbelief and saw a human with wings flying over with extreme speed. Seeing this figure, the demonic ape's face was full of disbelief. Its body trembled, and it couldn't block the attack of the human origin realm warrior and was sent flying. Zi Chen. The demonic ape opened its mouth, its voice trembling. It was surprised and excited. Zi Chen rushed forward. He was originally chasing after Golden Flame, but when he saw the demonic ape, his face was full of surprise. He shouted from a distance, "Demonic ape!" Zi Chen's shout spread far and wide. The demonic ape heard it and nodded excitedly, almost crying. "What's going on?" The 5 human origin realm warriors felt something was wrong, and so did Golden Flame and the others. They didn't expect the 2 tigers to know each other. What demonic ape? Could it be that the demonic ape is here too? Another voice came from the horizon. It was a familiar, bold voice. It was another familiar voice. It was the monk's voice. The demonic ape had never felt that the monk's voice was so familiar. Sure enough, a golden light appeared behind Zichen. It was the monk. His head was as shiny as the golden light around him. He held a Buddhist weapon in one hand and a blade in the other. Roar! Hearing that the demonic ape was here, Longhu was also very excited. He let out a roar and appeared in the demonic ape's sight. On Longhu's back was Wang Xian in her white dress. She held a light sword in her hand, and there was blood dripping from the tip of the sword. Seeing so many familiar faces, the demonic ape's red eyes were wet. It was obviously in despair, but it met Zi Chen and the others. This was really a turn of events. Chapter 890. The 5 human origin realm cultivators finally understood. This time, they weren't the only ones who had run into familiar faces. The devil ape had also run into familiar faces. Furthermore, from the looks of it, Jin Yan and the others had suffered a loss. The demonic ape, which had been beaten back, flashed and flew towards Zi Chen and the others. During this time, Zi Chen and the others went forward and met up with the demonic ape. Soon, the group of people gathered together. "Demonic ape, why are you here?" Zi Chen asked after they had gathered. The devil ape shook its head. "I don't know. I was training in the ancient road when I suddenly saw these fellows barging in. They wanted to cause trouble for me, so I thought it was a part of the ancient road's trial. I knew I wasn't their match, so I retreated as I fought. Who would have thought that they would chase after me for 3 ancient roads? In the end, I used up all my resources and couldn't beat them. Zichen frowned. He turned around and looked at the 5 elements realm cultivators. These 5 were clearly human origin realm cultivators. Furthermore, they weren't ordinary origin realm cultivators. There was a rule in the ancient road that ordinary origin realm cultivators weren't allowed to leave Heaven's Pride City. You're the ancient road's guardians. Zi-Chun looked at the 5 of them. While Zi-Chun was conversing with the devil ape, Jin Yan and the others were also conversing with the 5 of them. Hearing Jin Yan's words, their expressions became even uglier. At this moment, Zi-Chun asked. One of the human origin realm cultivators looked at Zi-Chun and said indifferently, "It's good that you know we're the ancient road's guardians. Now cooperate with us and capture this alien. I'll remember your merit." Zi-Chen's expression became strange. "What did you say?" "I said, capture the strange race beside you. We humans and the strange races are irreconcilable. We cannot live under the same sky. Once we find one, we have to eliminate it. Don't tell me you want to collude with the strange races and go against the entire human race of the Tianwu continent." The human origin stage expert repeated loudly. Before Zi-Chin could reply, the monk beside him laughed out loud. "Are you an idiot, or are you treating us as idiots? Since the humans are irreconcilable with the foreign races, how do you explain your appearance here? The truth is right in front of you, yet you still dare to threaten us. What an idiot!" At this moment, more than 1,000 demon corpses were still on the ground, and all of them were in a strange state of death. Based on the demon ape's narration and the roars of the dead demons, Zi-Chin and the others immediately understood what had happened. The human origin realm cultivator who had spoken earlier had a cold expression on his face. He asked coldly, "Do you know who we are?" Zi-Chin sneered when he heard that. "What's wrong? Now that we've exposed your ugly side, you know you're in the wrong, and now you're ready to use your power to oppress us. We are from the 5 elements aristocratic family. Do you know what the 5 elements aristocratic family represents in the entire ancient road and the Tianwu continent?" Zi-Chin laughed out loud. "Great powers? Of course I know them. They're super unparalleled, despicable and despicable giants. You," the human origin realm cultivator continued, "Brat, we are from the 5 elements aristocratic family. We are the true masters of the ancient road. You'd better show some respect. The reason we can come here is because of the rules, not the so-called treasure map. As long as you obediently hand the sky-splitting battle ape over to us, we promise to let bygones be bygones. Furthermore, we promise to give you endless resources and benefits on the ancient road." Zi-Chen's temper had always been good. At the very least, he rarely scolded people. However, looking at the people in front of him, he couldn't help but curse. "Do you think I'm an idiot? I'm walking on the strongest ancient road. Do you have the authority to give me endless resources and benefits?" Zi-Chen angrily pointed at Jin Yan and the others. "These trash idiots are from your aristocratic family. When they see resources, they're like dogs that see shit. They can't wait to pounce on them. You should keep your resources and benefits for yourselves." "Haha, dogs that see shit. This analogy is too appropriate, too domineering." Monk laughed out loud. The people's faces were extremely pale. They couldn't wait to slap Zi-Chin to death. However, they had already learned from Jin Yan that Zi-Chin was extraordinary, so they restrained themselves. "Good, very good. It's a small world. We'll see." After a cold humph, the 5 human origin realm cultivators were about to force their way out of this world. However, they suddenly realized that the power of the rules that they could use before had lost its effect at this moment. They couldn't open a passage. Zi-Chen's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He said coldly, "You want to leave? Did you ask for my permission?" The 5 people's expressions changed again. They had a bad feeling. Ji Nian even shouted, "Zichen, what do you want?" "You dare to scheme against my Zichen's friends? You can only apologize with your lives. As for you guys, you're not good people either. I'll send you all to hell together." As soon as Zichen finished speaking, he turned into a ray of silver light and rushed towards the people in front of him. "You're courting death," the few human origin realm cultivators shouted. They mobilized their Yuan force and attacked fiercely. They wanted to kill Zichen with all their might. Buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the sound of energy vibrating came from behind Zichen. One by one, the mystical items flew up into the air. Under the control of his spiritual sense, they launched deadly attacks. These attacks were extremely powerful. Even human origin realm cultivators would be frightened by them. They flew past Zichen and flew towards the 5 human origin realm cultivators. Damn it, those are mystical items. Seeing the attacks coming towards them, the 5 people cursed. However, they had no choice but to dodge. Even Zichen, who had a perfect body, had to face the attacks of the mystical items head-on, not to mention the others. Demon Ape. Zichen rushed towards the injured mortal origin stage cultivator and suddenly shouted as he was rushing towards the injured mortal origin stage cultivators. The demon ape followed behind Zichen with a black stick in its hand. Just as Zichen shouted, the demon ape suddenly grabbed the injured human origin realm cultivator. Under this grab, the injured human origin realm cultivator's body was surrounded by a black light, and he was instantly bound. Puff! As soon as the bound appeared, the dragon soul spear in Zichen's hand was already in front of the injured human origin realm cultivator. Just as the injured human origin realm cultivator was bound and his energy was flowing out like a tidal wave, a long spear had already pierced through his chest. With a light sound, the long spear went through his chest and came out from his back. The human origin realm cultivator looked at Zichen in front of him in shock. His eyes were filled with disbelief. However, the energy flowing out of his body told him that everything was real. His chest had been pierced through by a Dan core realm cultivator. Zichen pulled out the long spear without hesitation. The lightning wings on his back flapped, and with a flash of silver light, he dodged a few attacks. As soon as Zichen dodged the attacks, Tyrant and the others behind him started to attack a human origin realm cultivator. The human origin realm cultivator dodged the attacks with difficulty. Suddenly, he felt a sense of danger coming from behind him. He shouted, but he didn't turn around. Instead, he activated the energy in his body to form a defense on his back. At the same time, he didn't even look behind him. This was the most effective and perfect way to save himself. The defense could prevent him from being killed in one hit, and the attack could also buy him some time. Unfortunately, Zichen didn't put up any defense when facing this attack. He didn't stop attacking either. Just as the attack was about to hit Zichen, the dragon soul spear in Zichen's hand had already pierced towards the human origin realm cultivator. The defense he formed was so weak in front of the dragon soul spear. The long spear directly broke through the defense and pierced through the human origin realm cultivator's back, coming out from his chest. All of the human origin realm cultivator's movements were stopped by the spear tip that came out from his chest. He lowered his head and stared blankly at the spear that had pierced through his body. His eyes slowly lost focus. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the 5 had died. As for Zichen, who had taken the attack from the human origin realm cultivator, it only left a light wound on his body that was completely negligible. 2 of the 5 had died, and the others had gone crazy. They shouted loudly and rushed towards Zichen. During this time, several strange attacks were launched towards Zichen. However, Zichen possessed the innate extreme speed. In a small area, this kind of extreme speed was like a flash of lightning. In a large wave of attacks, less than 1/10 of the attacks would land on Zichen. During this period of time, Tyrant and the others would also hold back some of the enemies. Bang! With the black light in its hand, the demon ape sent a person flying with each attack. After 3 consecutive attacks, 3 human origin realm cultivators were blown far away. Zi-Chin rushed towards the wooden dragon. He clenched his left hand into a fist and punched out. Once again, he used the Dragon Soul Spear to attack. With the combination of the 2 types of energy, 2 doppelgangers appeared beside Zi-Chin. The 2 doppelgangers attacked fiercely. Under a series of fierce attacks, the wooden dragon was blown away. In the process of being blown away, the wooden dragon's vitality had already dissipated. At this moment, Zi-Chin was like a terrifying god of death. After displaying the strength of a late-stage cultivator, no matter if it was a human origin realm cultivator or a Xiantian realm cultivator, they would not be able to survive for more than 3 breaths of time. Zi-Chin could finish a series of attacks within 3 breaths of time. After that, his opponents would definitely die. Under such inhuman strength, the group of cultivators was naturally afraid. However, at this moment, this world was sealed, and they could not even run away. As for self-detonation, in front of Zi-Chen's innate speed, they needed time to self-detonate. Soon, the 3rd human origin realm cultivator was killed. Water Ether was killed, and the other Xiantian realm cultivators were killed. One by one, the corpses fell from the sky and landed on the ground. At this moment, Zi-Chen was completely ruthless. He was determined to kill everyone. Looks like things are much simpler than we thought. Above the world, seeing Zi-Chen killing, the 2 old men nodded in satisfaction. The 2 of them had originally thought that this would be an extremely difficult battle, and that there would definitely be many casualties. However, who would have thought that Zi-Chen would actually have dozens of wondrous items on him? Adding on the fact that Zi-Chen had broken through and displayed a powerful battle prowess, this battle had become much easier. The devil ape cooperated with Zi-Chen and quickly killed another human origin realm cultivator. The last human origin realm cultivator was terrified. Other than the mortal origin cultivators, the only leader of the 5 Elements faction was Jin Yan. However, Jin Yan had been severely injured by Tyrant. Longhu and Flying Tiger were still charging at each other. It would not be long before Longhu died. As for the other Xiantian realm cultivators, more than half of them had died. There were less than 10 left, and all the Hotian realm cultivators were dead. Stop! The sky suddenly split open, and a strong aura swept in from the outside world. At the same time, a cold shout was heard. Chapter 891. Zi-Chin did not pay attention to the voice. After suppressing the mortal origin realm warrior, he held the dragon's soul spear tightly and stabbed towards his opponent's heart. During this time, Zi-Chin could clearly see the fear in his opponent's eyes. "I asked you to stop, didn't you hear me?" The cold voice sounded again, and a horrifying pressure appeared in the sky. Zi-Chin felt as if a storm had suddenly swept through the entire world, and he happened to be in the center of the storm, the eye of the storm. The storm seemed to be formed by numerous sharp blades, and Zi-Chen's clothes were instantly cut open. After that, the blades cut into his skin, making clanking sounds. Zi-Chen was blown away, and the clothes on his body were instantly torn into pieces. The strength of this person was far beyond Zi-Chen's imagination. Zi-Chen was blown away, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. However, his eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. The mortal origin realm warrior, who had just let out a sigh of relief, saw Zi-Chen's expression and knew that something was wrong. However, before he could ask for help, 2 rays of light rushed past Zi-Chen. The 2 rays of light broke through the storm and arrived in front of the mortal origin realm warrior and exploded right in front of him. Boom! Another energy storm appeared, and the main theme of the storm was gold and silver, and it was rippling with an endless amount of destructive power. The mortal Origin Realm Warrior was instantly swept away by the storm, and because he did not have a strong defense like Zichen, he immediately screamed in pain. "You are courting death." The cold voice sounded again, and the storm that had swept Zichen away disappeared, and Zichen was blown away. The monk and the others reacted quickly and caught Zichen in midair. As soon as Zichen stabilized himself, his qi and blood began to boil, and he could not help but cough out a mouthful of blood. The torn pieces of cloth on his body kept falling off, and other than an armor, Zichen had no clothes left on him. One could clearly see that there were fine cuts on Zichen's body, as if he had rolled down a mountain of blades. With a flash of light, Zichen was clad in a robe, and his cold eyes stared ahead. In front of him, the two clones exploded, and the storm was crushed by a huge force. The human origin stage cultivator reappeared, but he was now a dead body without any sign of life. Zichen had killed 5 great origin stage cultivators and Golden Flame, and the rest were all dead. Now, there were only 6 Xiantian realm cultivators left alive, but all of them were wounded and terrified. The void was torn apart, and a figure walked out from it. It was a tall man with a pair of eyes that were as sharp as blades. He appeared from the passageway and glanced at the dead mortal Yuan cultivators. Then his eyes fell on Zichen. Zichen suddenly felt 2 cold lights locking onto him, which made him vigilant. The man descended from the sky, and there were 2 people following behind him. When the 2 of them saw the dead mortal Yuan cultivator's face, their expressions changed, and they quickly rushed down. The 2 of them seemed to know each other as they stood beside the corpse. Their emotions were fluctuating, and the qi around them became chaotic. However, the 2 of them did not speak at all. The tall man's sharp eyes glanced at Zichen, and then at the monk and the others. When he saw the 3 beauties, his expression did not change, but when his eyes fell on the 3 strange beasts, a strange light flashed in his eyes. The light flashed, and no one noticed it. Then he lowered his head and looked at the dead bodies. He frowned slightly, and this frown lasted until his eyes swept across all the corpses, and then fell on the dead foreign cultivators. Looking at the dead foreign cultivators, the tall man's frown slowly relaxed, and then his cold voice sounded. "Those who collude with the foreign cultivators die." This was the first time the man had spoken since he descended from the sky. His words were ambiguous, and the others did not understand. However, the 2 mortal Yuan cultivators who had been silent all this time understood. They turned around and looked at Zichen with hatred in their eyes. They repeated in a cold voice, "Those who collude with the foreign cultivators to kill their own kind die." Zichen and the others finally understood what the 2 of them meant. The others' expressions changed, and their faces were filled with anger. They did not know what was right or wrong, and they accused them of colluding with the foreign cultivators. Obviously, these people were not good people either. Zichen's expression did not change, and he asked calmly, "Colluding with the foreign cultivators, are you talking about me?" "The foreign cultivators are right beside you. If you are not talking about you, are you talking about us?" The 2 of them walked towards Zichen, and their killing intent surged. The foreign cultivators they were talking about were, of course, the demon ape. Zichen laughed, and he looked at the tall man. "Why didn't you ask about the situation?" The tall man's gaze was still fixed on the dead demons. He seemed to be very interested in these foreign races. As for Zichen's question, he didn't answer. It didn't matter if he didn't answer. He didn't even look at Zichen. Zichen naturally understood that this was a sign of disregard. A cold smile appeared on Zichen's face. As the 2 approached, Tyrant and the others gathered their auras and prepared to attack the 2. However, Zichen waved his hand and sneered, "No need, I'll do it." Zichen held the Dragon Soul Spear and walked forward step by step. The 2 mortal Yuan cultivators sneered, "You are just a damn core cultivator, and you want to fight 2 people at the same time." Zichen said calmly, I have already killed 5 of them." The 2 men's faces twisted. When they were only a few dozen meters away, they immediately moved. Zichen also moved. He held the dragon's soul spear tightly and pointed it forward. Xiantian Yuan energy flowed out from the tip of the spear, and a terrifying aura surged. Zichen punched with his left hand and spear with his right hand, and rushed towards the 2 men. At this moment, he did not put up any defense, because Zichen believed that attacking was the best defense. Zichen taking the initiative to attack caused the 2 of them to be surprised. However, they quickly laughed sinisterly as they charged towards Zichen. 3 rays of light flashed and intertwined. The energy vibrations turned into ripples and spread out. In an instant, Zichen threw out a punch and a spear. The other 2 controlled their flaming palms to block. After 3 seconds of this collision, the 2 sides separated. Zichen's expression was still calm, but the 2 men were obviously surprised. In just 3 seconds, they had exchanged dozens of blows, but they could not do anything to each other. During this time, they had hit Zichen more than 10 times, but they did not cause any damage to Zichen. Instead, one of them was scratched by the spear and suffered some superficial wounds. Zichen's eyes were cold as he shouted again. After saying that, Zichen rushed towards the 2 men again. He used the same attack as before. His fist was a Xiantian fist art, and his spear was a sky-breaking spear art, and its power was not ordinary. With his powerful strength and 2 extreme Xiantian Yuan energies, Zichen was not at a disadvantage even though he was fighting 2 people at the same time. Seeing the 3 men turn into 3 rays of light and collide, the Xiantian cultivators in the distance were completely stunned. At this moment, they were deeply shocked by Zichen's strength. Even the tall man who had not turned his head had a slight change in expression at this moment. His eyebrows, which had just relaxed, furrowed again. There is no need to show mercy to those who collude with other races. The tall man spoke again. His voice was still cold, and he still did not look directly at Zichen. The 3 rays of light collided, and the 3 men separated again. Zichen suddenly laughed maliciously, and golden blood flowed out of his mouth. He laughed and said, "Indeed, there is no need to show mercy to those who collude with other races." At this moment, there was a deep wound on Zichen's abdomen, and golden blood was constantly flowing out. There was also a bloody hole on his right shoulder. The black robe that he had just changed into was already stained with golden blood, and he looked extremely miserable. Looking at the other 2, their bodies were also stained with blood, but they were slightly better off than Zichen. "Cut the crap. You will die today." The 2 men's eyes flashed with hatred, but their hearts were filled with shock. The wound on Zichen's abdomen should have been able to cut him open with 1 blow, but his tough body had forcibly blocked this blow. At the price of a scratch, he had blocked this fatal blow, and because of this blow, each of them had almost lost an arm. "Come." Zichen laughed maliciously again, and then rushed forward again. The other 2 men also attacked Zichen. Zichen's body flashed with light, and 2 clones appeared. This was the first time he had used clones in a battle with the 2 men. The 2 men had already sensed Zichen's clones, and were completely on guard. Now that they saw Zichen's clones appear, they subconsciously slowed down. Zichen's attacks arrived in an instant. Originally, 2 attacks were aimed at each of the 2 men, but at this moment, Zichen completely ignored one of them and attacked the other. The 2 men were still on guard against the clones, and didn't expect Zichen to choose such a method of attack. In this way, as long as one of them could block Zichen's attack, the other could definitely kill Zichen. However, the prerequisite was that the other person had to be able to block 2 of Zichen's full-powered attacks. If they were fully prepared, the answer would naturally be yes. Unfortunately, under such circumstances, it was impossible to block Zichen's full-powered attacks. The 2 attacks landed on one of the men. The surging energy instantly destroyed the opponent's attack, broke his defense, and then entered his body to wreak havoc. The mortal origin stage, Cultivator, couldn't help but let out a painful roar. The other attack just happened to hit the defenseless Zichen. The same surging energy broke Zichen's defense and entered Zichen's body to wreak havoc. Zichen's body was directly blown away. Zichen was blown away, and the two clones took the opportunity to attack the mortal origin stage, Cultivator, who hadn't prepared for the second attack yet. Boom! Another explosion of energy sounded out, and the two clones exploded. In the blink of an eye, another energy storm appeared in front of them, and the mortal origin stage, Cultivator's scream, came from the storm. Zichen didn't have time to care whether the two men were dead or alive, because Zichen was seriously injured. After he was blown away, he was caught by Su Mengyao, who had jumped up into the air. When Su Mengyao brought him down, she had already put a supreme Dan into Zichen's mouth. Zichen was still coughing up blood, but there was a cold smile on his face. After he landed, he didn't have time to say anything. He quickly sat down cross-legged and started to absorb the energy of the Supreme Dan. The powerful attack from the mortal origin stage, Cultivator, had seriously injured him. If he didn't take the Dan in time, he might die. Chapter 892. The tall man looked at Zichen. His previous disregard was replaced by anger. The situation had changed so fast that he couldn't stop it in time, and he had lost two of his men. It should be known that these were the subordinates of two human origin stage cultivators who had passed through the ancient road. Their battle prowess was extremely strong among cultivators of the same level. If they were in the outside world, they would be able to form a powerful force. However, here they were killed by a core origin stage cultivator. Zichen was still healing, so he didn't look at the tall man. The monk and the others took out their weapons and treasures, protecting Zichen in the middle. They looked at the tall man cautiously. The tall man's eyes flashed with killing intent. He said coldly, "Those who collude with the alien race to kill their own people die." Our own people? Where did our own people come from? The monk continued in a cold voice. As for who colluded with the alien race, you know better than us. I hate rotten people, like you, who dare to do things but don't dare to admit it. If you want to kill them, do it quickly. Don't find some lousy excuses to frame others. It disgusts me. The monk's rudeness made the tall man extremely angry. His face became twisted. Obviously, he didn't have good self-control. He ignored Zichen because he didn't like him. However, once he was provoked, he would show his true colors. Just as the tall man was about to shout the word "die," the void broke open again. A dark tunnel appeared, and a figure walked out of it. "Huiming, you are here," the person said as soon as he came in. The tall man turned his head and looked at the person in the sky. "It's you, Li Xiong." If the tall man in front of him was just a little taller, then the person who came in was tall and strong. His veins were bulging, and his body was full of power. He was like a human-shaped beast. This was the result of cultivating his body to a certain level. He was comparable to a big bear. The man named Li Xiong descended from the sky and quickly scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, he clicked his tongue in wonder. "Let me see who this little guy is. Isn't this Gene Family's Gene Yen? And there's also Wood Dragon and Water Ether. God, how did these people die here?" Li Xiong's expression suddenly became exaggerated. He then looked at the other corpses and shouted exaggeratedly, "Wow, this is your Hua family's human origin stage warrior. Let me think what his name is. Oh, sorry, I can't remember." Li Xiong's eyes fell on a group of dead alien race members. Suddenly, his eyes brightened as if he had found something strange. He shouted, "Alien race, oh my God, it's the alien race. These alien race members are kneeling here. Let me guess, are they performing a blood sacrifice ceremony?" Ignoring Huiming's increasingly ugly expression, Li Xiong carefully observed the battlefield again. His eyes finally fell on Zichen and the others, and said, "Don't tell me first. Let me guess what the situation in front of us is." "Oh, I guess it should be that someone colluded with the demon race, wanting to break through the passage between the two worlds, leading to the appearance of the demon race and triggering a world-class war. But this plan was accidentally destroyed, and someone was angry out of humiliation. So he gave the other side the name of colluding with the demon race and prepared to silence them." Li Xiong looked at Huiming and asked, "Huiming, am I right?" Huiming didn't say anything, so Li Xiong asked again, "Huiming, are you planning to frame someone and silence them?" Huiming finally got angry and said loudly, "Bullshit, Li Xiong, you're bullshitting. Who colluded with the demon race can be seen at a glance, and you dare to slander me." After swallowing a precious pellet, Zichen's fatal injuries were healed. He opened his eyes and saw Li Xiong at first glance, and felt a familiar aura coming from him. Li Xiong was tall and muscular, comparable to a big bear. As he walked, his body was filled with explosive power. Zichen's face flashed with a hint of joy, but it was more strange. Zichen stared at Li Xiong, and the latter naturally sensed it. He turned his head and looked at Zichen, nodded and smiled, and greeted Zichen kindly. Just as Zichen nodded back, Li Xiong looked at Huiming again and said coldly, "Huiming, I don't care who colluded with the demon race, and I don't care who you want to frame. But since you attacked my body, cultivator lineage today, don't blame me for using violence." Huiming's mouth twitched and said, "Body cultivator lineage? Who here is from your body cultivator lineage?" Li Xiong pointed at Zichen and then at Monk, Su Mengyao, Wang Xian, and Lin Shui and said, "They are all from my body cultivator lineage." Huiming's expression changed instantly, and at the same time Wang Xian and the rest's expressions changed. Obviously, they understood what Li Xiong meant by body cultivator lineage. It was the cultivation method of the perfect body that Zichen had taught them. But after seeing Li Xiong's physique, the three beauties immediately swore in their hearts that they would never cultivate the perfect body again. Even if they didn't want the perfect body and powerful combat strength, they would never allow their physiques to become like Li Xiong's. At this moment, even Monk, who was fat and had a big belly, despised Li Xiong, let alone the three of them. Furthermore, the four of them, including Monk, were worried for Zichen. They were afraid that after Zichen cultivated the perfect body, he would become another human-shaped bear. Li Xiong didn't know what everyone was thinking at this moment. He continued berating Huiming and protecting Zichen and the rest. No matter who it is, as long as they collude with the foreign races, they will die. Another voice suddenly sounded from the sky. Following that, the void broke open, and a middle-aged man in a golden robe appeared. This person was surrounded by golden light, and he wished he could write, "I'm from the Jin family," on his forehead. When he appeared and saw the dead Jin Yen, his gaze became much colder when he looked at Zichen and the rest again. "I like the saying that those who collude with the foreign races will die. But Jin too. I would like to ask, how do you plan to die?" Facing the Jin family, Li Xiong wasn't afraid at all. His eyes even flashed with a burning light, as though he wanted to compete with Jin Tuesday. Li Xiong, colluding with the devil race is the same crime as harboring them. You should be the one worrying about how you will die. The passage in the void did not close as another voice sounded from it. Immediately after, another person appeared. After this person, another person walked out. The 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth had already gathered. The 5 of them represented the 5 aristocratic families. Furthermore, the 5 of them were clearly united as they looked coldly at Li Xiong. Facing the cold gazes of the 5 people, Li Xiong wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he mocked. "Why? Are you planning to use your power to oppress me?" Jin too laughed faintly. "How can that be? We just hate those who collude with the foreign races. Thinking about the disaster the foreign races brought to us humans back then, we can't help but want to gnaw their bones and eat their flesh. Furthermore, I, Gene 2, hate those who collude with the foreign races the most. Gene 2's words made Zi-Chin and the rest have the urge to curse. However, it was clearly not appropriate for them to speak in such an occasion, so it was best to keep quiet. Haha, you are indeed shameless. Li Xiong wasn't angry. He just laughed. I have long heard that you, Gene 2, are extremely shameless. Seeing you today has really opened my eyes. Gene 2 wasn't angry at all. He smiled and said, colluding with the foreign races is a fact. You are also harboring them. This is also a fact. No matter how you quibble, it is useless. That's right. We will kill those who collude with the foreign races without mercy. Huaming also said coldly, you can beat me or kill me if you want. Li Xiong spread out his hands, indicating that he didn't care. Huaming's eyes fell on Zi-Chin. A trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. His voice became extremely cold. Die. As his words fell, Huaming pointed a finger at Zi-Chin. It was a flaming finger, surging with an extremely terrifying aura. This aura was 10 times stronger than the original human origin realm. Zi-Chin couldn't resist the power of this finger. Moreover, this finger not only wanted to kill Zi-Chin, but also everyone around Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin looked at the flaming finger without any change in his expression. If one had to see something from his face, it would only be a trace of mockery. When the flaming finger was 5 meters away from Zi-Chin, it suddenly stopped in the air. This kind of stop was like space and time had stopped. The finger light didn't move forward, but it didn't dissipate either. It was fixed in the air like a burning pillar of fire. The power of the rules. Seeing this, the 5 of the 5 elements family's faces changed instantly. Li Xiong still had a faint smile on his face. However, after seeing the 5 of them lose their composure, a trace of mockery appeared on his face. At this moment, an old voice sounded in the sky. The rules of the ancient road you have all forgotten. Just as the old voice sounded, 2 figures descended from the sky. They were 2 old men in hemp clothes with cold expressions. Ancient race. Seeing the 2 old men, the 5 of them exclaimed again. The power of the rules twisted, and the flaming finger shot out by Huaming dissipated directly. It didn't even cause any energy fluctuation. The old man that Zi-Chin was familiar with took a step forward. The power of the rules surged around him as he said coldly, the ancient road has its rules, but you have broken them. You have broken the rules. The power of the rules surging around the old man made the 5 of them extremely fearful. This power of the rules could kill them all. The smile on Gene 2's face had long disappeared. His face was pale as he said in a low voice, didn't the ancient race disappear? Why are you still here? Also, there are rules on the ancient road. You are not allowed to appear, and you are not allowed to interfere with the matters on the ancient road. You have broken the rules. A trace of mockery flashed in the old man's eyes as he said coldly, the disappearance of the ancient race was all because of the foreign races. You, the 5 elements family, have the clearest record of what the foreign races did back then. Now, for your own selfish reasons, you have colluded with the foreign races to invade. Do you know that once the foreign races appear, the entire world will become a battlefield? You still have the face to talk to me about the rules? If you didn't break the rules, we naturally wouldn't have appeared. But now that you have broken the rules, the ancient race will naturally appear. The 5 of them had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. At this moment, they didn't dare to casually frame the ancient race. That was because the ancient race was the true controller of the ancient road. The law energy they obtained originated from the ancient race. However, the ancient race had disappeared a long time ago. They thought that the ancient race had been destroyed. Who would have thought that there were still some alive? Moreover, it was obvious that the failure of the plan this time was due to the intervention of the ancient race. Chapter 893. 100 meters outside Tianjiao City, the void shattered, forming a dark passage. A figure walked out from it. The void rippled, causing energy to vibrate. Many people sensed it. Even the guards in the Heaven's Pride City were shocked when they saw the figure walking out of the void. It was a figure with flames all over its body. It was like a human-shaped flame. The flame aura was restrained, making it impossible to sense its strength. However, one could see that the space around the human-shaped flame was distorted. When the trial takers saw the human-shaped flame, their expressions changed instantly. Disbelief appeared on their faces. Then, exclamations came from their mouths. His whole body is covered in flames. Is this the root of the 5 elements fire family, the fire spirit body? His whole body is like a flame, and the flames are endless. It's naturally formed and not deliberately released. This must be a pure spirit body. The human-shaped flame descended from the sky, causing exclamations. Everyone looked at it in shock. The pure spirit body was a legendary existence. It rarely appeared in the world. It represented the strongest combat power of the 5 elements force. The pure spirit body was also unique to the 5 elements family bloodline. This was also one of its advantages. On the ancient road, the pure spirit body hadn't appeared for a long time. The last time it appeared was 10,000 years ago. This didn't mean that the 5 elements family hadn't had a pure spirit body in 10,000 years, but that there was no existence worthy of a pure spirit body. Under normal circumstances, a Xiantian martial artist with Xiantian techniques could take care of everything for the family. The human-shaped flame descended from the sky, but it didn't enter Tianjiao City. Instead, it walked in the opposite direction. Originally, everyone guessed that the human-shaped flame must have returned from experience and was preparing to enter Tianjiao City. However, at this moment, it walked in the opposite direction, which surprised everyone. Just as they were surprised and puzzled, they sensed a murderous intent from the human-shaped flame. Feeling this murderous intent, the trial takers were in an uproar. The combat power of a pure spirit body was far beyond that of a Xiantian martial artist. The two were not on the same level at all. Now that the other party had murderous intent, it was obviously a sign that he was going to kill. But in the current world, who was qualified to make a pure spirit body attack? Those below the Xiantian level naturally couldn't, but those above the Xiantian level were on the same level. This guess caused everyone's mood to instantly become excited, and they all followed the flaming figure. If their guess was correct, it was obvious that they would be able to see a battle that had not been seen in 10,000 years. As they moved forward, the group of trial takers were guessing who the flaming figure's opponent was. Was it another pure spirit body, a tyrannical body, or an existence with a heart of the sword or a heart of slaughter? Word spread like wildfire. The news that a pure spirit body was going to fight soon spread. More trial takers followed the flaming figure. The flaming figure walked in front, while a large group of trial takers followed behind. The figure didn't turn its head or speak as it continued forward. This time, they traveled hundreds of thousands of miles. After traveling hundreds of thousands of miles, the number of trial challengers they encountered along the way also increased. When these trial challengers saw the flaming figure, their expressions changed greatly. However, there were also quite a few who were stunned. These people were all people who went to search for treasures. Some of them started to return before entering the dark world, and some of them escaped from the dark world. After they escaped, they all told everyone what had happened in the dark world. Zi Chen killing Hua Si was naturally the focus of everyone's discussion. The Hua family's Hua Si had been killed, and the Hua family's pure spirit body had appeared here. Everyone guessed that the other party was looking for trouble with Ziqin. Ziqin, it must be Ziqin. I bet that this flaming figure is looking for trouble with Ziqin. He's here to kill Ziqin. As everyone recounted the battle, more and more people learned about what had happened in the Dark World. Everyone was looking forward to the battle between Qin and the Flaming Figure. Of course, they were even more looking forward to a one-sided battle. This was because, as a legendary existence, a pure spirit body had already surpassed the Xiantian realm, and Qin was still a Xiantian realm martial artist. What puzzled everyone was that the Flaming Figure had only walked hundreds of thousands of miles and hadn't even reached the entrance to the Dark World. However, he suddenly stopped, looking at the motionless Flaming Figure. Although everyone was puzzled, they didn't dare to ask. Qin, I hate this name, muttered a voice from within the flames. In the Dark World, with the appearance of the two ancient race elders, the 5 people who wanted to frame Long Qin calmed down. These two were the true guardians of the ancient path. They could control the ancient path's power. As long as one was in the ancient path and didn't have the means to resist the ancient path's power, they wouldn't be able to fight against them. In front of the elders, the 5 of them were like Qin in front of them. They could be completely ignored. So they didn't dare to quibble or retort. Hihi Jinin, don't you hate people who collude with other races the most? Now that the truth is out, you're the ones who colluded with the other races. Do you want to commit suicide? Asked Li Xiong. Jin En and the others glared at Li Xiong, but they didn't say anything else. Facing the ancient race, everyone was in awe. Even the 5 Elements aristocratic family, which had existed for a long time, was much older than them. When the ancient race had risen and unified the Tianwu continent, they had nothing to do with it. However, during the Great War between the human race and the devil race, if it weren't for the ancient race, the entire world would have been occupied by the devil race. When the devil race had attacked, the 5 Elements aristocratic family was just a small family. They couldn't contribute much. It was the 4 king families who led the ancient race to repel the devil race. However, they also suffered heavy losses. The Lei family, one of the 4 king families, even lost their inheritance. As for the other 3 king families, they hadn't appeared in the world for a long time. The 5 Elements aristocratic family clearly recorded the tragic battle of that year. Now that they thought about it, they still sighed, lamenting the powerful ancient race. However, after the destruction of the ancient race, the 5 Elements aristocratic family rose. They obtained the ancient race's inheritance and controlled the ancient race's power. After the ancient race disappeared, the 5 Elements aristocratic family took over everything. As the wings of the 5 Elements aristocratic family gradually expanded, they attracted the devil race for some purpose. Jin too paused and said, "Today is different from the past. Now, our foundation can completely suppress the devil race. Even if the devil race appears again, they will be beaten back like before." After the destruction of the ancient race, there were several invasions of the devil race in history. However, every time the invaders were defeated by the joint forces of the 5 Elements aristocratic family and other forces. There was a lot of suffering, but it was still under control. However, during the fierce battle, several forces disappeared in the long river of history. Nonsense. The old man of the ancient race's face turned ashen. He said angrily, "Back then, there were many families that were stronger than you. Just the foundation of one of the 4 king families was more than the sum of the 5 of you. However, in that battle, the 4 king families joined forces and still won a Pyrrhic victory. The situation of the previous invasions of the devil race, you all know best. The devil race seemed to be going all out, but in fact, they were just probing. You are fighting for an opportunity for yourselves, but they are also waiting for an opportunity. After hundreds of thousands of years, the devil race has accumulated an unimaginable power. Now, they are waiting for you to open the passage." The 5 of them didn't care about the old man's words. Without personally experiencing the battle, they couldn't feel the strength of the devil race and the terror of the 4 king families. Huaming said, "We are the human race. I hope you don't underestimate the enemy. In these hundreds of thousands of years, the devil race has indeed accumulated a lot of power, but we humans are not weak either." The old man turned to look at Huiming and said seriously, "It is the 5 families that have accumulated a lot of power, not the entire human race." "What do you mean?" "The 5 of them changed their expressions instantly." The old man snorted and said, "Although the ancient race hasn't appeared, it doesn't mean that they don't know anything about the world. You know best what the 5 Elements aristocratic family has done all these years." "We don't understand what you are talking about." A trace of mockery appeared in the old man's eyes. "You don't understand? Eliminate the dissidents and gather all the geniuses for your own use. Those who follow me prosper, and those who oppose me perish. If you still don't understand, then let me give you some advice. 20,000 years ago, the Western Desert's Buddhist sect. 10,000 years ago, the Southern Domain's Wuji sect." Hearing the old man's words, the 5 of them didn't change their expressions. Jin Yen said, "The destruction of the Wuji sect is something that everyone knows. Back then, the sect master of the Wuji sect was too greedy and wanted to attack the Lightning Divine Hall to become the Lightning Divine Hall, which led to the destruction of the Wuji sect. As for the Southern Desert's Buddhist sect, a powerful demon was sealed there, but they underestimated the demon's strength, which led to the demon breaking out of the seal, causing the Buddhist sect to disappear in a day. In the end, that powerful demon was killed by our 5 Elements aristocratic family. I don't understand what the 2 things you're talking about have to do with us." In the distance, Zi Chen and the others were shocked. The Wuji sect was the sect that Zi Chen belonged to. Back then, it was indeed destroyed because of the Lightning Divine Hall. However, now that they heard the old man's words, there seemed to be more to it. As for the Southern Desert's Buddhist sect, it was an extremely unfamiliar name, but it should be full of monks. Zi Qin turned to look at Tyrant. Tyrant had already put away his previous joyful expression and was much more solemn. The old man sneered. 10,000 years have passed. Since you don't want to admit it, then forget it. Today's matter is the last time that our ancient race will stop you. If you insist on connecting the 2 worlds, then do as you wish. However, before that, let me give you a piece of advice. Go back and read the records about the demon race in the ancient books. Don't think that just because there are some spiritual bodies in your race, you are invincible and can control the world. Back then, the 4 great ancient races didn't have fewer spiritual bodies than you. There are also many demon races that are comparable to spiritual bodies. Spiritual bodies aren't invincible. The 5 of them changed their expressions, but in the end, they didn't argue. In front of the old man, the 5 of them naturally didn't have the right to use the rules. In the next moment, the old man waved his sleeve, and the void split open, revealing a black passage. "We will definitely pass on this matter." Golden Flame and the others cupped their fists and entered the passage. The other Xiantian realm warriors who were lucky enough to survive also hurriedly followed. Li Xiong turned his head and smiled at the few of them, then left in a flash. "You guys can leave too." The old man waved his sleeve again, and Zi Qin and the others disappeared. Chapter 894. The passage to the outside world opened and Zi Qin and the others appeared. As soon as they walked out of the passage, they saw a group of challengers gathered below. Those challengers were looking at them in surprise. Jean and the others had already arrived, but they didn't leave. After Zi Qin appeared, they stared at Zi Chen coldly. In the world of darkness, the 2 old men could control the power of rules. They didn't dare to do anything to Zi Qin, but they also wanted to leave as soon as possible. Zi Qin didn't look at Jean and the others. He just looked down. There was a figure surrounded by flames. Zi Qin felt a murderous intent from the figure. When Zi Qin's gaze landed on the flaming figure, a look of astonishment flashed across his face. The monk and the devil ape had the same expression as Zi Qin. In an instant, the flames around the flaming figure began to fluctuate. After Zi Chen appeared, The passage behind him disappeared. But in the next moment, the black hole appeared again, and two people walked out. The two old men of the ancient clans came out. They looked at the figure and snorted coldly. "Humph, a spiritual body." "That's right, it's a spiritual body," said Huiming proudly. After coming out, he didn't fear the two old men anymore. The two old men looked at the figure and then at Ziqin. They smiled coldly and then looked at Huiming and asked, "What? You want the spiritual body to help you?" Huiming smiled and said, "We don't want to kill him. Since the spiritual body is here, I think it's necessary to show the world the spiritual body's power. We need to let people know the power of the 5 elements clans so that they don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The old man didn't seem to realize that Huiming was deliberately targeting him. He just said indifferently, "The spiritual body isn't invincible." Huiming didn't care and said, "I don't know whether it's invincible or not, but I know that the spiritual body can kill a cultivator of the Tianqi realm. It's like killing an ant." The old man warned him, "Young man, it's good to be confident, but don't be overconfident." Huiming smiled and said, "We can wait and see. Facts always speak louder than words." The old man no longer paid attention to the self-righteous Huiming. His gaze fell on Ziqin, and he said, "I have something here that is extremely suitable for you. I forgot about it just now. I will give it to you later." "No, wait. You have to pay the price for killing people from the Hua family, and that price is being torn apart by the spiritual body." The old man glanced meaningfully at the members of the 5 elements aristocratic family before withdrawing his gaze. "Ziqin, come down and accept your death." Suddenly, a loud shout came from below. This was the first time the spirit had spoken. Its voice was cold and carried a trace of anger, but Ziqin found it extremely familiar. Ziqin looked down at the spirit and smiled. "I wasn't sure of your identity at first, but since you've spoken first, it seems that we need to greet each other before the battle begins. Hello, loser." Ziqin's words successfully caused an uproar. Even the expressions of the 5 people who were confident of victory changed. What's going on? Ziqin actually knows the pure spiritual body of the Hua family. From his tone, it seems that not only do they know each other, but they have also fought before. It seems that the pure spiritual body of the Hua family was defeated. Just as everyone was discussing and guessing the credibility of Ziqin's words, the monk in the air suddenly shouted, I remember! Demon Ape, isn't this guy the arrogant flaming man we met in the ancient world?" Demon Ape nodded. "Oh, it is indeed him. I almost didn't recognize him. It's him, it must be him. I am Lord Zeng, your Lord Zeng. Do you still remember me? I am your Lord Zeng, your Lord Zeng. Do you still remember Lord Zeng? Lord Zeng has a very deep impression of you. Back then, Lord Zeng ruthlessly kicked your ass and treated you very well. Don't tell me you have forgotten Lord Zeng? Back then, Lord Zeng still vividly remembers how you fled in panic. The monk's unscrupulous words caused an uproar again. Moreover, the monk's serious look made the 5 people's faces turn ugly. When the flaming man heard the monk's nonsense, he was so angry that his nose almost became crooked. The flames around him began to fluctuate, and his emotions became extremely unstable. He shouted, "Damn monk, you are bullsh *ting. I am a spiritual body. When have I been kicked in the butt by a bald thief like you?" "Bald thief? How dare you call me bald thief?" When the monk heard this, his expression immediately became unhappy. He said seriously, "Flaming man, you should call me Lord Zeng. Lord Zeng, do you understand?" "Pooh! Damn monk! How dare you spread rumors about me? I will kill you." The flaming man was so angry that his body was trembling. Facing the monk, who kept calling him Lord Zeng, anyone would be angry. "You say that I am spreading rumors, but you don't admit it. Then, do you dare to tell me where you were when Lord Zeng showed his power and wanted to find you to discuss life?" You didn't even say hello and ran away with your tail between your legs, right? The monk sighed and said, "Ah, at that time I thought you were a guy who popped out of nowhere and was insignificant. I just thought you were a clown. I didn't expect you to be a spiritual body with a great background. If I had known, I would have recorded the scene with a memory crystal." The flaming man was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. The flames around his body were fluctuating violently. He couldn't wait to kill the monk immediately. No one could see his face clearly, but it should be livid and angry. Naturally, he couldn't win against the monk who kept calling him Lord Zeng. He could only point his finger at the monk and Zi Chun and shouted, "Don't talk nonsense. What happened back then is already in the past. Now, come down if you have the ability. Zi Chin, the monk, and the demon ape, all of you come down. I can kill all of you alone." The flaming man's words showed that what the monk said was true. They had once defeated the flaming man. This made everyone look at them differently. However, they were also looking forward to it. They thought that it would be a one-sided slaughter, but now it seemed that this battle was going to be very interesting. Regardless of whether the monk was telling the truth or not, the two elders of the ancient race had a complacent smile on their faces. As for the 5 people who were complacent before, their faces were now black and blue. The silent flaming man was very mysterious. Everyone was very curious about him, but now that he was angered by the monk and shouted at him without caring about his image, the mystery disappeared. The flaming man taunted from below, thinking that he could turn the tables. However, the monk ignored him and turned his head to look at the 2 elders. He asked, "Just now, you said that you would give Zi Chin something that is very suitable for him after this battle. I wonder if I can beat the flaming man into a dead dog. Can you give me something as well?" The monk didn't suppress his voice, so everyone could hear him. He didn't put the legendary spiritual body in his eyes at all. While everyone was shocked, the flaming man naturally jumped up and cursed. Huaming and the other 4's faces were extremely dark. It seemed that the monk was the only one in the world who dared to not put the spiritual body in his eyes. Even Zi Chin looked at the flaming man with a dignified gaze. Yet the monk was boasting shamelessly. The elder didn't care about the monk's shameless boasting. He smiled and said, "If you can do it, I will give you a word of truth." "Really?" The monk's eyes lit up and his breathing quickened. The Buddhist power around him began to surge. The Aboriginals never lie, just like how the Buddhism sect doesn't lie. The elder suddenly stopped talking. He wanted to say the same thing as how the Buddhism sect didn't lie. However, when he looked at the weird monk in front of him, he tactfully shut his mouth. The monk didn't care about the elder's thoughts. At this moment, his mind was filled with thoughts of the truth. Truth, truth. Since it was the truth, it would naturally be the 6-syllable truth. Once all 6 syllables were gathered, innate techniques and spiritual bodies would be nothing in front of the truth. The monk had been in the world for more than 100 years, but he had only obtained the 2-syllable truth. Fight! At this moment, the truth was right in front of him. Naturally, the monk had no scruples. He didn't even care if he obtained the truth, because it meant that Zi Chen wouldn't be able to get anything good. He didn't care, and directly rushed towards the flaming man. At the same time he shouted, "Flaming man, get ready to get your butt kicked by me." The battle began without any warning. The flaming man didn't even have the time to say the heroic words before a fierce battle. He saw a demon subduing pestle coming towards his head. The demon subduing pestle whizzed down with pure Buddhist power surging on its surface. One could vaguely see an old monk sitting on the demon, subduing pestle, chanting sutras. The Buddhist power surged and golden light shone. The sound of Buddhist chanting resounded between heaven and earth like the sound of Tao. The monk's words made the flaming man seem worthless and didn't take him seriously. However, after the attack, he attacked with all his might. 2 cold lightning bolts shot out from the flames. This was the flaming man's furious gaze. The demon subduing pestle whizzed down. He raised his right hand as if he was holding up the sky. The violent spiritual chi between heaven and earth kept gathering on the flaming right hand of the flaming man. In the blink of an eye, a huge palm print appeared in the air. The palm print was burning with flames and surging with a terrifying aura. The flaming man shouted and lifted the palm print into the air. Boom! The demon, subduing pestle, and the palm print collided with a loud explosion. Violent energy surged in the air. The demon, subduing pestle, was sent flying high. The monk dodged and caught it. The palm print of the flaming man was also shattered by the demon, subduing pestle. The first confrontation between the two was considered a draw. However, this was just the beginning. The flaming man had yet to show his powerful combat power. Again. However, before the flaming man could make a second attack, the monk had already turned into a golden light with the demon subduing pestle in his hand. The sound of Buddhist chanting resounded again. The golden Buddhist power surged. An extremely terrifying aura emerged from the pure Buddhist power. The flaming man shouted again and struck with the sky, raising form again. A glaring flame emitted. Boom! The energy between the two collided again. Amidst the energy tremors, the monk rose into the air again. Flaming man, I haven't seen you in a long time. You're just S.O. If you don't have any powerful means, I won't be polite. The monk held the demon, subduing pestle, and laughed disdainfully. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Chapter 895. The two of them clashed for the third time in the air. After the collision, the space distorted crazily, and the shock waves of powerful energy rippled out. After 3 clashes, Tyrant was sent flying 3 times. However, with the strength of a peak level 6 and the demon subduing pestle in his hand, Tyrant was able to withstand the attacks without being injured. The flaming man did not succeed in killing Tyrant, and did not even injure him. It gave the challengers the impression that he was not as strong as they had imagined. In fact, that was not the case. The flaming man's combat power was definitely strong. It was so in the ancient world, and it was still so now. Tyrant was able to withstand the attacks several times because his combat power was not weak, and he also had the demon subduing pestle in his hand. After the 3rd clash, the two of them clashed again. Golden light and flame flashed in the air as the two of them fought fiercely. Tyrant was swept away by the flame energy again and again, but he quickly rushed out with the demon subduing pestle. The golden Buddhist power and the sound of chanting resounded, but they were extinguished by the flame time and time again. It had only been a few months since Tyrant's Yuan Li transformed into an innate. He was still not proficient in using his innate power, and his innate techniques were also lacking. The only thing he could rely on was his physical strength and the demon subduing pestle. After a long battle, Tyrant's mouth started to bleed. This was a sign that he was not a match for the opponent. However, to be able to fight with the legendary spirit for such a long time, it was obvious that Tyrant was stronger than an ordinary innate. This also attracted the attention of many challengers. After the two of them clashed again, they retreated. Tyrant swallowed the blood that he was about to spit out. He turned to the old man in the air and said, "This guy is not easy to kill. It's meaningless to continue fighting. Why don't we stop here?" The old man in the air nodded and said, "Okay, you've just transformed into an innate, but you can already block the spirit's attack. Of course, if you can hold on for a few more breaths, it will be even better." "Okay, no problem." Tyrant heard this and became spirited again. He turned to look at the flaming man and shouted, "Flaming man, that was just a small fight. Now, I'll let you see my true strength." As soon as Tyrant finished speaking, the Buddhist light around him became even more dazzling. He shouted, and the 6 syllables mantra appeared. This was the first 2 syllables of the 6 syllables mantra. At this moment, waves of destructive power appeared around Tyrant and swept towards the flaming man. Looking at the destructive power produced by the mantra, the flaming man's expression for the first time. Wherever the power of the mantra passed by, space would distort as if it was about to shatter. When it landed on the fiery figure, the destructive power directly dispersed the flames around the fiery figure. When the flames dispersed, the true body of the flaming man was revealed. He was very handsome and young, but his face was clearly filled with shock and surprise. The moment the burning man revealed his true appearance, the monk transformed into a golden light and rushed forward. He held the demon subduing pestle with both hands and struck the burning man's head. In addition to the destructive power of the mantra, there was also a strange, mind-shaking power surging within it. This kind of power could directly destroy a person's soul and cause hallucinations and absent-mindedness. Bang! The burning man was distracted for a moment and didn't manage to dodge the monk's attack. As a result, the monk's demon, subduing pestle heavily, smashed into his head. With a loud bang, the burning man was struck in the head and fell to the ground. With a loud bang, a lot of dust flew up. This was the first time the burning man was at a disadvantage since the beginning of the battle. Although he wasn't injured, being smashed to the ground not only made him look pathetic, but he also lost face. The monk's powerful attack caused cries of surprise to come from all around. In the air, the monk had used up a lot of energy, and his face was a little pale. He twisted his wrist and said to the burning man below, "What a tough head! My arm is numb from the impact. Is your head made of iron?" Die! The burning man's body was covered in flames again. His face was distorted from anger. He soared into the air and attacked the monk. Lord Zheng's mission is complete. I won't play with you anymore. Demon Ape, play with him. If you do well, you might be rewarded. After saying that, the monk displayed his extreme speed to dodge the burning man's powerful attack and retreated to the old man's side. You're not allowed to leave, the burning man shouted. He transformed into a flame and chased after the monk, wanting to kill him. A powerful aura came from the sky. A black stick with flashing black runes blocked the burning man's path. The demon ape held the black stick and attacked. The demon ape's powerful attack contained a dense, demonic chi. This demonic chi was incompatible with the whole world, causing cries of surprise. Of course, the cries of surprise were not about the strength of the demon ape's attack, but the demon ape's identity as a foreign race. The demon ape successfully blocked the burning man, and the monk smoothly retreated. The monk's face was pale. Other than using up a lot of energy, his injuries were also not light. However, in order to not lose face, he clenched his teeth and stopped himself from coughing out blood. At the same time, he glared at Huaming and the others. The demon ape's attack was successfully blocked by the burning man. However, just as he blocked the first attack, the demon ape immediately followed up with another attack. This time, the power of the attack was several times stronger. Just like that, one attack after another, the power of each attack was stronger than the previous one. The demon ape's attack was extremely eye-catching. Moreover, the demon ape's battle strength was unexpectedly strong. It was actually not weaker than the monk from before. The monk's previous attacks were always accompanied by the sound of chanting. Golden light flashed, extremely beautiful and magnificent. However, compared to the demon ape's attack, it was lacking in sharpness and fierceness. Under the demon ape's powerful attack, the burning man could only passively counterattack. He was a legendary spiritual body, but in today's battle, he had not killed a single person. This not only made the spiritual body lose face, but also made Huaming and the others feel ashamed. Sky-raising form. With a loud shout, a huge flaming palm soared into the sky and slammed towards the rapidly descending black stick. With another explosion, the black stick was sent flying and the demon ape retreated. All around, the cultivators could tell that although the demonic ape and the monk were not as strong as the fiery man, the difference between them was not too great. Under such circumstances, it was almost impossible to determine the victor in a short period of time. If the Burning Man wanted to kill the demon ape, the battle would last for a long time. However, the demon ape obviously did not want to continue the battle. After more than 100 attacks, the demon ape had used up more than 80% of its strength. The demon ape retracted the stick and coldly snorted at the Burning Man. A spiritual body is only so. The Burning Man was obviously injured, but he still said that he was only so. The Burning Man was so angry that his body trembled. Just as he was about to chase after the demon ape, a golden sun suddenly appeared from the side. The speed of the golden sun was comparable to teleportation, and it rushed towards the Burning Man, giving him a fright. When the Burning Man dodged the golden sun's attack, the demon ape had already retreated, and Zichen was standing where the demon ape had been standing. Zichen looked at the Burning Man in front of him and coldly said, "You have successfully shown everyone your incompetence and told us that a spiritual body is only so. The show is over, and now I'm coming out to kill you. Shameless boasting. I should be the one killing you." The Burning Man was once again angered by Zichen. He had already forgotten how many times he had been angered today. "Since you have used up a lot of your strength, I can give you enough time to recover. When you have recovered to your peak state, I will kill you," Zichen indifferently said. "Humph!" The Burning Man coldly snorted, but he did not refuse. He stood in the air, and the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered towards him. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here was extremely violent. When Zichen came to this world, he had tried to absorb it, but he could not use it at all. However, at this moment, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that could not be used was easily refined and absorbed by the Burning Man after it entered his body. Zichen's pupils shrank as he sensed the extraordinariness of a spiritual body. In just a few breaths of time, the Burning Man had completely recovered and returned to his peak state. This kind of recovery speed made Zichen's heart twitch fiercely, and he felt ashamed of his inferiority. Kill! The Yuan Qi in his body had recovered, and he had returned to his peak state. The Burning Man did not say much, and after shouting the word "kill," he rushed toward Zichen. The Burning Man, who had high hopes in the battle with the monk and the demonic ape, had lost face because he failed to kill them. However, as long as he could kill Zichen in the third battle, he would regain all the face he had lost. Just as the Burning Man rushed towards Zichen, Zichen also rushed towards the Burning Man. The two of them turned into two rays of light and collided in the air. Then, the rays of light became entangled, and the ripples started to spread out. After the energy rays had spread out for more than 10 meters, a belated sound of energy vibrations was heard. The two of them fought in the air for 3 breaths of time, and then turned into 2 rays of light and retreated, respectively. Amidst the vibrations of energy, blood rained down. Some of the blood was emitting a golden light, and some were like golden pearls. There was also blood that was as red as Mars. Compared to the previous 2 battles, blood had already been seen at the beginning of this battle. A scratch appeared on Zichen's chest, and a long wound appeared on the Burning Man's arm. After separating, the two of them did not say much. Instead, they rushed towards each other again. Their eyes had clearly become colder, and their attacks were also extremely fierce. The Burning Man struck out with the sky-raising form, while Zichen struck out with the innate strength. Following that, the Burning Man used other techniques, and Zichen's innate realm techniques were also endless. Amidst the flashes of light, the two of them fought faster and faster. In the end, they were like 2 flashes of lightning, and many people could not keep up with the rhythm of their battle. At this moment, the scene was silent, and there were only the energy waves caused by the intense battle between the two of them, as well as the ripples of energy. In the distance, Wang Xian, and the rest were worried. In the fierce battle, Zichen's wounds were increasing. His combat power was weaker than the Burning Man, and in terms of the understanding of techniques, he could not be compared to the Burning Man. Die! The Burning Man sneered. He controlled a huge flaming palm print and smashed it toward Zichen. Zichen's expression was cold, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. His left hand was Yin, and his right hand was Yang. He activated 2 types of ultimate Yuan force and attacked the palm print. Boom! Amidst the vibrations, the energy exploded, and the strong force produced sent the 2 of them flying. Zichen's only trump card that could withstand the Burning Man's attack was the self-explosion of the Yin and Yang innate realm force. Although his powerful level 8 physical strength could withstand fatal attacks, it could not guarantee that he would not be injured. Chapter 896. The 2 looked at each other coldly from afar. It seems that without external help, you are so weak that you can't even withstand a single blow. Zichen's body flashed with a golden light as his wounds healed. The previous battle had drained him greatly. He took out a high-grade Yuan liquid and swallowed it. Hearing the words of the Flaming Man, he only snorted coldly. The Flaming Man was indeed very strong. He was the strongest enemy Zichen had encountered so far. Zichen even felt that the Flaming Man was no weaker than the Guardian of the Passage, Sophie. If the Flaming Man was in the mortal Yuan realm, Zichen would have accepted it. Unfortunately, the Flaming Man was only in the late core realm, the same realm as him. Seeing Zichen swallow the high-grade Yuan liquid to recover, the Flaming Man's eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule. Without becoming a spirit body, you will never be able to experience the boundless might of a spirit body. As for recovering Yuan energy, a spirit body's will is enough. As soon as the words fell, the surrounding Yuan energy swirled and rushed towards the Flaming Man. The violent energy was refined as soon as it entered the Flaming Man's body. The Flaming Man was recovering at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, his Yuan energy was restored. The killing intent in the Flaming Man's eyes intensified. He said to Zichen in an extremely cold voice, "Now, I will show you my strongest battle strength." The Flaming Man's hands began to form seals. A fiery red light flowed between his fingers. The Yuan energy in the surroundings suddenly became violent and formed an energy storm. With the Flaming Man as the center, the energy storm began to spin. As it spun, the Yuan energy in the surroundings madly rushed towards the storm. The energy contained in the storm was extremely terrifying. Zichen's expression became more and more solemn. At this moment, he was thinking about what kind of powerful means he had. He had several Xiantian realm techniques. If he cultivated them to the peak, he would definitely be able to kill the Flaming Man. Unfortunately, he had only just comprehended them and had not made much progress. Not to mention killing the Flaming Man. He couldn't even protect himself in front of it. The energy storm in front of him grew to a size of several thousand meters. The Yuan energy in the surroundings madly converged towards it. When the energy storm reached a limit, it began to shrink under the control of the Flaming Man's spiritual sense. The firestorm was getting smaller and smaller, but the aura it contained was getting more and more terrifying. When it was compressed to 1 meter, the aura it contained caused everyone's expression to change. However, this wasn't the end. As the fiery person's hand formed seals, the firestorm began to change, turning into a 1 meter wide flaming square seal. At this moment, there were all kinds of runes flashing on the square seal, and the terrifying aura had reached its peak. Zichen sensed a dangerous aura from the flaming square seal. This was a feeling that only appeared when one's life was in danger. His expression instantly changed. Clearly, this attack from the flaming figure had the strength to kill Zichen. At the back, Wang Xian'er and the rest were also shocked when they saw the flaming square seal. This square seal had the power to kill Zichen. Everyone was anxious and wanted to rush forward. A ray of light flashed. It was Huaming who had stopped the crowd. He chuckled and said disdainfully, It seems that life and death are about to be decided. A Xiantian martial artist is still a Xiantian martial artist. Even if he is a little unconventional, he can't be compared to a spirit body. Lin Shui anxiously begged the old man beside her, "Senior, please save Ziqin." The old man shook his head and said seriously, "Ziqin is definitely not an ordinary Xiantian martial artist. He has 2 types of Xiantian essence force and several Xiantian techniques. He is not weaker than the flaming figure," Lin Shui said anxiously, "but he has not comprehended those Xiantian techniques." The old man said, "If he hasn't, then it's because his skills are not as good as the flaming figure. If that's the case, he deserves to die. After all, this world is cruel." Just as they were talking, the flaming square seal in front of the flaming figure flew towards Ziqin. Ziqin's pupil shrank, and he dodged with extreme speed like a silver lightning bolt. The flaming square seal was too powerful, and Ziqin had to avoid it. When Huaming and the rest saw Ziqin dodging, they laughed disdainfully again. The old man also shook his head and said, "Blindly dodging won't solve the problem." Indeed, as he dodged, the flaming square seal's power grew stronger and faster. In the end, Ziqin had nowhere to run. Blindly dodging just now had caused him to lose the opportunity to attack. Boom! The flaming square exploded in front of Ziqin, and a terrifying surge of energy swept across. Ziqin was instantly blasted away by the energy. The defense around his body was broken by the energy, and the wounds that had just healed opened up again. This time, there were more wounds, and they were deeper. He looked extremely miserable. Ziqin fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. With a loud bang, a cloud of dust flew up. Gasps could be heard from the surroundings, and the anxious and concerned voices of Wang Xian, and the rest could be heard. Ziqin stood up and looked up. His body was covered in a mixture of dust and blood. His face was extremely dirty, and his clothes were torn in many places. He looked extremely miserable. At this moment, Ziqin felt as if he had been knocked off his pedestal. Ever since he obtained the Thunder Yuan, Ziqin had never been defeated by anyone of the same level. Moreover, his battle history had always been against those of a higher level. He had killed geniuses, demons, Hotian, and Xiantian warriors. These kinds of killings were all against those of a higher level. He was known as the strongest among those of the same level. However, today, Ziqin was defeated by the flaming figure, and the flaming figure's strength was comparable to Ziqin's. The sounds from the surroundings made Ziqin feel a little dazed, and he also felt that the sounds were extremely harsh. The flaming figure looked down at Ziqin from the sky and said coldly, "You have lost, but I will not let you go, because losers only have one path to walk, and that is death. We have already lost. Why do you still want to kill us?" Lin Shui's voice sounded. The flaming figure sneered, "Because he deserves to die. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that I am willing to do it." The flaming figure was stronger than Ziqin, so he was willing to do it. Therefore, he wanted to kill Ziqin, just like how Ziqin had killed others along the way, such as Huisi and Tuluo. They were no match for Ziqin, but they were killed by Ziqin because Ziqin was willing to do it. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. As for whether the loser would live or die, it was up to the winner. "Damn thing, I will fight you," Tyrant shouted. The demonic ape raised the black stick in its hand again. The 3 strange beasts, Longhu, barbaric dragon, and flying divine tiger, were also surging with powerful auras. However, before they could rush forward, they were stopped by someone. The ones who stopped Ziqin were not Huaming and the others, but 2 old men from the ancient race. One of them, who was familiar with Ziqin, said, "This battle can only be settled by Ziqin. Ziqin is no match for him. If this continues, he will die." Wang Xian, or cried out involuntarily. If he can't win, he will die. This is the world of cultivators. The crowd didn't try to suppress their words, so Ziqin heard them all. Today's defeat made him feel a bit absent-minded, a bit hesitant. It was as if at this moment he had been knocked off his pedestal, lost his direction, lost his goal. Ziqin, we believe in you. Su Mingyao's voice resounded between heaven and earth. It was like some kind of law that reverberated in Ziqin's sea of consciousness, reverberating between heaven and earth. Her voice was filled with determination and trust. It was as if she had enlightened him, causing Ziqin's body to tremble. Ziqin felt that he was wrong. What pedestal? What strongest in the same realm? These were all fabricated by his own arrogance. In the eyes of others, Ziqin was Ziqin. The pedestal was also a joke. Ziqin felt that he was thinking too much. In fact, he was a cultivator. Along the way, he had experienced countless battles. If he didn't kill his enemies, he would be killed. However, he was still alive. His enemies died because he was strong. Combat strength was everything. As for the others, they were all false names. At this moment, in the face of a life-and-death crisis, he should be thinking about how to deal with his enemies and not worry about the pedestal. Ziqin stood up again. The flames of battle reignited in his eyes. He raised his head and said to the flaming man, "I lost." The flaming man laughed proudly in the air. "It's useless to admit defeat because I won't let you go. There is only one outcome for losing, and that is death." Ziqin raised his head and said calmly, "Yes, there is only death for losing. In the previous battle, you have proven to me the strength of the spirit body. However, the real battle of life and death has just begun." "Just begun, haha." The flaming man laughed and scrupulously. "I say, Ziqin, are you stupid? Do you think that you are a match for me now? I admit that I am not a match for you in a pure battle. However, a battle of life and death is not a battle of life and death." Ziqin's figure rose into the air again. Although he was in a sorry state, an extremely powerful aura surged around him. "If you want to die, I will fulfill your wish," the flaming man shouted. Then he attacked Ziqin again. It was the same attack as before, but this time it was even more terrifying. The flaming man's face was full of ridicule. After the attack, he laughed loudly. "Dodge. You can continue to dodge." Ziqin looked at the incoming attack calmly and said calmly, "From now on, I, Ziqin, will not dodge in a battle of the same level." His voice was low, but it was like an oath that echoed between heaven and earth. At that moment, many people's minds were shaken, and they seemed to have understood something. However, more people sneered when they heard it. Shameless boasting. The flaming man was one of the people who sneered. Ziqin indeed did not dodge. He stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. Then he mobilized the level 8 strength in his body and evolved the innate strength technique. He punched forward. This was a powerful and terrifying punch. It carried Ziqin's determination and confidence as it hit the flaming square seal. The two collided, and a violent explosion sounded in the air. The fist light was instantly shattered by the flaming square seal. At the same time, the flaming square seal broke apart and turned into a firestorm that swept towards Ziqin. Ziqin's body was instantly engulfed by the firestorm. The destructive power within it was raging on Ziqin. After 2 breaths, Ziqin turned into a golden light and rushed out of the firestorm. However, as soon as he rushed out, his body became unstable and he fell from the sky again. Ziqin fell to the ground again, and this time he was even more embarrassed than the last time. The flaming man's disdainful laughter came from the sky again. "Today, I want to tell you that confidence and strength are not the same. If you dare to fight with confidence without strength, you are courting death." Ziqin stood up from the ground. His body was covered in dust, and he looked very embarrassed. However, his eyes were as bright as Xing Chen's. He did not take any elixirs to heal his injuries. Instead, he rushed directly towards the flaming man. The flaming man gave him too much pressure, and he did not want to leave himself a way out. As Zichin said before, he would not dodge in the face of the same level. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.